10:02, good morning from the Circus Sports at the Mint Kentucky Downs studio. I'm Lucas Panzica. The Titans were on the field for joint practice Tuesday with the 49ers. Robert Saleh provided an injury update after practice. Pass rusher Jacob Martin left practice with a knee issue. Rookie Jackie Marshall has an oblique, and John Franklin Myers dealing with a lower back. The team is off today before the preseason opener against San Francisco tomorrow night. In NFL news, the Minnesota Vikings named Kyler Murray the starting quarterback on Tuesday over former top 10 pick J.J. McCarthy ahead of Minnesota's preseason opener. Bear safety Kobe Bryant underwent surgery to repair a knee injury that he suffered a few days ago in practice. It will hold him out 4 to 6 months. In other news, the Los Angeles Lakers have been sold to American businessmen Josh Kushner and Bob Iger for a record price of $12 billion. Nashville Soccer Club finishes up group stage play in Leagues Cup tonight against Mexican side Monterrey. Kickoff is at 7 p.m. on Apple TV. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone. Good morning. Welcome in. Happy Wednesday. Welcome into 104.5 The Zone. Lucas and Robert with you in studio. Buck, I believe, is with us from the West Coast. All three of us are fueled by Hattie B's hot chicken. Much to discuss with the Titans on the field for joint practice yesterday. The preseason opener happening tomorrow. Practice recaps. Big-time sales across the American sports landscape. SEC observations. And Buck, I think, is connected through some hotel in Santa Clara, San Francisco, San Jose. Which San are you in right now?
I am in San Francisco. Good morning, boys. How are we?
Doing all right. I suppose we should just give you the floor at this point. The practice coverage that we got on the show yesterday was primarily electric substation content. And then the actual team drills and the action started right as we were getting off the air. So we missed out on updating that stuff in real time, so the floor is yours. What were your takeaways yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, nobody's going to be surprised to learn that the San Francisco 49ers are a better football team right now than the Tennessee Titans are. And, you know, I know the title of the show today is that they got mugged by the Niners, and that was kind of the vibe. Niners came out trying to kick their ass, and there was a lot of stuff after the whistle, right? Not necessarily smart stuff. I saw a lot of Niners reporters, and in particular Matt Mayoko, being critical of the 49ers defense for not making very many plays in the early going and just kind of, roughing dudes up, grabbing dudes by the face mask, throwing guys down, throwing punches. A lot of guys got tossed out of practice yesterday. Shanahan didn't seem to know which Niners got tossed, but we can go through the list of Titans players that were ejected from practice later on. And it's a young team, or a team with a lot of young parts that went up against real competition, playoff caliber team, even though they're banged up and battered and bruised yesterday, and got a reality check. And I appreciate Carnell Tate's response to that question after the fact. I'm not sure if you all plan to play that today. He's a man of few words, Carnell Tate, but I thought he was short, quick, and to the point about it yesterday. But that's what it was. It was a reality check for him, and that's okay. Like, that doesn't have to be a bad thing. That's the purpose of these things. You got to get a sense of how you measure up against legit competition. It's why Saleh has 3 of these things scheduled for the Titans. I don't know that we've ever done, since I've been covering the Titans, certainly, I don't think there's ever been 3 consecutive joint training camp practices
First time
with 3
ever.
different teams, right? Yeah, so there's a reason for that, and it's a good dose of reality before the thing actually starts. And I think that reality check is going to continue when the Seahawks come to town and the Chicago Bears may be a little closer to their level right now, as we're talking about a team that Titans fans hope is ascending. And talked to Mike Borgonzi yesterday. Mike Borgonzi hopes that it's an ascending football team. But right now, everybody's still kind of in wait-and-see mode, let's figure it out mode, and where are we? And yesterday was a good estimation of where they actually are.
So yesterday we were full of tinfoil hat conspiracy theories on the show, and one of them being this fight that happened in this quote-unquote fight that happened in Vegas. Did you see this with Kirk Cousins and Max Crosby?
Yeah, I don't know that we talked about it last week.
We did not.
I guess that would have been over the weekend.
No,
So, I am aware of it.
Robert, what was your conspiracy theory on the Raiders?
It's fake. It was all staged and planned. It was
to get my sweet baby boy in there,
well,
you think?
not even to get the sweet baby boy in there. That was something Lucas brought up to get him some first-team reps. Yeah. But if you want to galvanize a team and make the head coach look like the adult in the room, he brings his two leaders on offense and defense. Hey, guys, need you to get a little chippy today? Need you to give me a reason to step in? And Max, the defense is going to rally around you. Kirk, the offense is going to rally around you. And then I get to be the adult. I get to sit everybody in their corner. You're in timeout. You're in timeout. Fernando, you're in there. We all win. That's what I think actually happened.
And I bring that back up because could there be anything to the conspiracy theory that Robert Saleh, chatting with his good buddy and longtime colleague Kyle Shanahan for the last few days, saying, hey, tell your guys to rough us up a little bit. Come at us. I want to see how our guys respond.
It sounds like a kink, right? That sounds like that. Who's the actor, the voice actor that does Joe in Family Guy that's in Ted?
Oh, yeah. I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Where the guy's likes to
get the crap beat out of him.
I think I just texted a guy last night to come beat me up. That's why I have this black eye, right? That's kind of the vibe. I can't speak to the Raiders situation. That's something that happens, right? That's Dan Campbell's entire existence as a player. Isn't that a thing? Parcells used to send him out into training camp if he didn't feel like they had enough juice to just start a fight. Dan Campbell, maybe not the best football player as a tight end in his career, had a decent career, but was definitely a goon. So those things in a different era happened. I don't know if you're gonna put Kirk Cousins in a situation like that, given that he is your starting quarterback, Robert. I don't quite think that's the scenario that we're looking at here.
But what about the Saleh Shanahan scenario?
Hell no, you're not gonna get your starting left tackle tossed out of practice just for kicks.
Well, no, I don't think that's the intention. The intention is to see how they respond. And that's how Dan Moore responded.
You know what? It was definitely combative, and I think for the purposes, because at the end of the day, like in all reality, you need to get things accomplished, and it was a long ass practice yesterday. I don't know. I haven't looked at the CBA in a while, but I don't know how close we got to violating the amount of time that the teams are allowed to be on a practice field, especially in padded practice and things like that. But this thing dragged for a considerable amount of time. And I think that was more of a punishment for the fact that they kept starting fights in the early going. And it pretty much continued in spurts, right, throughout the course of the practice, to the point where you're just not being productive at the end of the day. And we've got a recorded interview with Jeffrey Simmons on the show. I thought Jeff was on his best behavior.
Yeah, I was going to ask, where was he in all of this?
He was fine, right? He was holding the line until, I think a few of the Niners offensive linemen out there thought that, oh, look at him. He's not that tough. We could take this guy. And then he turned it on and they couldn't run the football for like 30 minutes, basically, because Jeff was just snuffing everything out. He's like, all right, mother effers, I'm gonna turn this thing up a notch. And I don't have to swing on you to get my job done out here. So Jeff, I thought, approached this thing the right way. And I don't blame Dan Moore for responding. It was a lot of response, right, from the Titans. I'm not like down on them causing problems or anything like that. I think that the Niners were causing the problems yesterday, and the Titans responded. And at the end of the day, the coaching staff was getting annoyed with it. And for what it's worth, Saleh wasn't even over there for the most part, where the vast majority of these confrontations were starting, right? Because Saleh's on the opposite field calling the defense. So it's basically Dable and Brasillo and Shea Tierney over there having to manage the situation. And fortunately for the Titans, they have multiple people with head coaching experience who know how to get things back in order and get the thing back on track. But yeah, I don't think you're looking to get your two starting tackles tossed, or your two of your offensive tackles start. Deculus is not a starting player, fortunately for everybody involved, for the time being. you're not looking to get your two of your four tackles tossed out of practice just for the sake of bringing up the intensity. By the way, the Niners practice situation, beyond the substation, you have no idea how damn close the substation is to the practice field. Like, we joke about, being in the shadow of this thing. It literally is so close to the field that it casts a shadow on the field. I mean, I'm sure they have run the science on this for the billions of dollars that are invested into a football team, especially for the purposes of health and safety, to determine whether this thing actually has a negative impact or not. But, like, I don't know. You see how close this thing is? There is no way it's not putting off some level of radiation that's a problem for people.
Yes, hopefully it is more of a long-term exposure thing and not a short-term exposure thing, I guess. We did have a professional electrician call in yesterday saying he thinks the substation stuff is BS, that there's no way that that's contributing to soft tissue injuries.
Tell both of that, because he's apparently now day to day after tearing his ACL very, very early on, and everybody's pointing at that damn substation. Visitors get the substation field for what it's worth. Niners weren't practicing on that field. Yes, that isn't enough. You guys go over there, enjoy.
What is the injury update? I know Saleh got up there, had a few names. Anything in terms of severity with the likes of Jacob Martin and JFM and so on?
The JFM thing is worth watching, right? Because he was supposed to be, he missed some time, was supposed to be back Sunday, then didn't come back Sunday. Supposed to be available this week, was not available yesterday. They said they expect to get him back sooner rather than later. It's just being described as back tightness. He's an older player, right? So, a situation to monitor, and perhaps it's just it is more, my understanding, Lucas, is that it's precautionary measures and that they choose to be more precautionary than less with an older player, that they have a higher level of investment, and he's the second biggest ticket item. No, he was the biggest, I guess, purchase, for lack of a better term, that they made in the free agent market this year by total contract value.
Yeah, so, him and then Alante, right?
Right. So they want to be safe, and I'm not going to fault them for that, but just, worth keeping an eye on moving forward. The Jacob Martin thing, not too severe by any stretch of the imagination, just a tweak of his knee. But, worth noting that their front without those two guys was decidedly different, because then you're talking about Keldrick Falk and some combination of, maybe Jalen Holmes, maybe Colin Saunders, maybe Jackie Marshall. And there's a significant drop-off once you start talking about the top line of these guys and then the rotational depth that they expect to roll off 8 or 9 deep.
Mistaken. It was Wandale, in terms of total money, had the biggest deal, the $70 million, but it was only $38 million guaranteed. $63 million total for JFM, and then $60 million total for Alante Taylor. But, yeah, okay. So, speaking of Alante Taylor, let's talk about that defense and recap what that side of the ball looked like against the Niners at joint practice yesterday. We'll do that next.
Nothing worse than having to call someone to work on your AC unit or fix a plumbing problem, having no idea what it will cost. Well, you don't have to worry about that with Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. The price they quote you is the price you will actually pay. They're the most trustworthy plumbing, heating, cooling, and electrical company I've ever dealt with. Their experts are truly that, experts in the field. They are professional, experienced, and trustworthy. When the tech is assigned to you, you'll receive a photo of them and a link to track them in real time so you don't waste your time waiting around for your service appointment. As Hiller says, 100% satisfaction guaranteed of happy you'll be, or the service is free. That's the Happy Hiller promise. That's how Happy Hiller gets its name, honestly, as a family-owned and operated business that's been around for over 35 years. So don't live in the heat. Call Happy Hiller and book online today at happyhiller.com.
Titans are off today. The preseason opener is tomorrow. Robert and myself are in studio. Buck is on the West Coast ahead of the preseason game against the 49ers. Joint practice yesterday. To recap, we are fueled, of course, by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. No Hattie B's for you out there. That must be tough.
Yeah, it's one of the few things that California lacks. But, the closest one is Vegas. If I've got a lot of time today, maybe a quick trip to Vegas is in my future. If for no other reason than the Hattie B's. And I believe it's in the Circa or Cosmo. I can't remember off the top of my head. But yes.
How close is Vegas?
Oh, it's probably a hour flight tops, right? That can't be more than an hour.
Okay, yeah, maybe make a pit stop. See if I don't know. Has the Hattie Q melt made it to Vegas yet?
I'm not sure if that's a nationwide limited time menu offering or if that's just to their main brick and mortar locations. Which I guess technically the Hattie B's in Vegas is a main brick and mortar location. That's one of their first expansion ones. So I have to imagine that the good people out here on the West Coast and in the Las Vegas area would be blessed with the gift of Hattie Q melts.
Well, you can definitely get it in Middle Tennessee at any one of their Middle Tennessee locations. Nashville SC in action tonight at Geodis Park. You can get it inside of Geodis and at Nissan Stadium when the Titans are in action. So let's break this up. Defense first. Jeffrey Simmons is coming up. You talked to him yesterday. We'll play that interview coming up at 12:20. No fisticuffs, I imagine, but no fisticuffs for Jeff on the field either yesterday. Like you said, it sounds like he was very tame in what was a chippy practice against the Niners. Defensively, what stood out? Like, let's set aside positives and negatives.
Sure. Starting with
the positives, what did the Titans do well? How did they respond well defensively yesterday?
Jeff did his job. Jeff, the thing that you have to worry about the least is the thing that continues to hold true. Jeff was out there whipping ass, but doing it between the whistles, right? He snuffed out the run at every turn. Niners were trying to get their run game off the ground, particularly in the red zone. No-go. Was, understanding that you're trying to play it safe and keep, the opposition upright during training camp. Could have gotten to Brock Purdy several times. It's a Niners offensive line that's not great. Trent Williams is still a quality player, of course, even at an advanced stage. I want to say he's 38, which is just absurd. Jeff did his job. Jermaine Johnson had a number of different plays where he was getting to the quarterback. So in the absence of, and Jacob Martin was in there for, I want to say, half of practice. So the defensive line unit, I do want to see a little more out of them in the preseason game because it sounds like everybody's going to play, which is a bit of a surprise. I asked Jeff when the last time he played in the preseason was. He says like 5-6 years ago. So this will definitely be, and they're going to go against the 2s and the 3s and the Niners. So if you want to talk about things that you want to see translate from the practice into the game, I want to see them just caving skulls in because it was an effective practice for the defensive front, but again, not at full strength. So you expect that unit to have a little more firepower if it is healthy at the start of the year. But Jermaine Johnson, Jeffrey Simmons, I thought did their job pretty nicely. Keldrick Falk, he's clearly a work in progress, and that's not something I think that should surprise anybody. He gets to be a work in progress. They've surrounded him with a number of different veteran players so they can ease him in to the situation. They sound very pleased with his progress. I don't know that they would tell us if they weren't, but I think that would be pretty apparent. I haven't talked to Aaron Whitecotton, haven't talked to Keldrick Falk, right? Last week in media availability, he's been very receptive to the coaching points, and so now for him to get to go up against different opponents was good to see, and a long way to go for the young man. But as far as the linebackers go, I honestly thought Cody Barton had a really nice day. Cedric Gray is always going to be a very active presence. Nick Suss of the Tennessean made a comment to me, Ramon, and Teron, and Jimmy. We're sitting around in the lobby of the team hotel. This is probably 4 or 5 hours after practice. And Suss said something to the effect of, I think in this defense, just about any linebacker, if you are an NFL player, you can probably come away with 100 tackles in this defense playing behind a defensive line. If, a defensive line like this, if they're fully healthy. And that's not a knock on Cedric Gray. It just means that you have the horses to do it. and their life is going to be made a lot easier by the guys playing in front of them. You feel pretty good about the depth there, too. I thought Anthony Hill had a pretty solid day, both in coverage and playing the run, something to keep an eye on. They're slotting him exclusively at the mic. So that's his role. That's the role that he's learning. That's the role that they're going to keep him in for the time being. And then James Williams continues to look impressive. Lucas, I don't want to get too caught up in something with training camp and then it not bear fruit in the regular season. But it's just tough for me to imagine that James Williams does not have some level of impact at some point in the season, understanding that there will be some level of attrition. The secondary is what it was yesterday. Again, does not mean that it will be for all of time, but yesterday was a problem. Monty Hooker had one of his worst days of practice that I can remember in quite some time. Cordell Flott got pulled out, but it was very late. He spent the majority of practice on the field, and that was a precautionary situation for Cordell Flott, who, if you'll remember, was dealing with some level of injury in the spring, and they rolled him out there during training camp. So first, we'll call it a small setback for Cordell Flott. And then Alontae Taylor, I wouldn't say that I overwhelmingly noticed him. I did see Jalen McMurray have a couple of nice pass breakups out there, talking about depth guys. Mario Goodrich Jr., or Goodrich the third, rather. Let me not make him a junior. The third had an interception. I want to say that another depth player, I couldn't see the number from my vantage point, but I do know another Titans defensive back had an interception. Apologies to that player for not being able to give him the proper credit. Perhaps somebody else was able to indicate that. I am fascinated to see what JSN does to them next week, because there's nobody of that caliber on the field for the Niners right now. Mike Evans was out there for a little bit. Debo was out there for a little bit, and then Stribling, the rookie out of Ole Miss, who I saw some Niners fanboy, blog boy, a lot of blog boy Niners reporters, by the way. Maybe that's more normal out here. I don't know, but it's like outright in Niners gear. It felt like half the media.
Okay. I was going to ask, what's the dead giveaway for a blog boy reporter? Is it wearing team gear while covering the team?
Yeah, I'm not saying they were all wearing it, but I walked into the media room, and I'm sure they're lovely people, and I'm sure they mean well and all these different things. But the amount of people wearing Niners T-shirts and Niners ball caps, I'm like, I kind of hate this. This feels wildly unprofessional. But I saw some blog boy yesterday comparing Stribling to Tate and saying Stribling far outperformed Tate and all this nonsense, which I think is a little bit prisoner of the moment. And I also don't believe it's impossible for you to judge those things when there are so many things happening on the field at the same time at a high rate of speed. I think that's a very, very difficult thing for you to walk away and say definitively Deshaun Stribling was so much better than Cardell Tate and will outperform the 4th overall pick in the draft. I thought that was a bit nonsensical yesterday. But that's pretty much the summary of the defense. And just because we don't have a specific block on it, and then we can talk more in depth about some of the areas that I've touched on here. Joey Sly was 7 of 7. It was all inside of 44 for what it's worth, and they did work out another kicker yesterday, I noticed on the transaction wire. But a better day for Joey Sly out there. And then I thought the returners, got some solid work in. You saw Chimere Dike out there, you saw Mason Kinsey out there, and then you saw Hank, is it Beatty or Beatty? Beatty. I think it's Beatty. Hank Beatty, number 13, getting some opportunities to return both punts and kicks yesterday. But a rebound day for Joey Sly, who went out there at the stadium practice in front of Titans fans and caused, I think, a much consternation among the fan base and the coaching staff, who immediately started working out kickers.
We've not talked at all about Chimere Dike as a returner in 2026, and he obviously all-pro caliber season as a return man last year as a rookie. Also got a ton of opportunities, as we know, to return kickoffs especially, and racked up a lot of yardage that way. But that is an exciting thing for Titans fans if Chimere Dike, this is an opportunity for him now in 2026 to legitimately establish himself as one of the premier return men in the NFL, right? It's one thing to burst onto the scene and do it your rookie year with a lot of opportunity. It's another thing to do it again and stack those seasons and put yourself at the top of that discussion in the league.
Does he get the opportunity, right? I mean, because to your point, everybody knows it's coming now. So what does that look like from a game planning standpoint? How will opposing special teams coordinators try and limit that? Will it just be a bunch of touchbacks, right? Will they just try to neutralize him as much as humanly possible? And then if he does get the opportunity, how much can he make them pay, right? Because those opportunities will be much fewer and far between. We talked to Bones, what was that? It wouldn't have been Friday because Friday was the stadium practice, so maybe Thursday before practice when we spoke to the coordinators last. And, Bones said on tape when they went back and watched Chim's opportunities last year, he said, we had one called back against the Rams that we could have had. We had 2 or 3 more where we felt like he really could have, he if not scored, he would have completely flipped the field in an advantageous way. So I think you still do have that weapon at your disposal. It's just a question of how much can the opposition neutralize or attempt to neutralize that weapon that you have.
Well, because the Titans, as we know, don't have a lot of areas where they have the potential to be, let's say, in the top 1% of the NFL, right? Whether that's individuals or units, position groups, whatever you want to look at. Jeffrey Simmons is one of those things, right? We'd put Jeffrey Simmons in the top 1% of defensive tackles in the NFL. And Chimere Dike has an opportunity to be one of those things, to be in the 1% of punt and kick returners in the NFL. So that is a chance for the Titans to have a pretty big advantage that they can utilize if Dike can stack those years that they probably won't have elsewhere, right? Like, where else do the Titans have the potential to have something, a player, a unit, that is right at the top when it comes to the rest of their peers across the NFL?
Yeah, right. I mean, it's the defensive line conversation that we've had several times. I don't think any of them are going to become Fred Warner in this defense, that linebacker core. So I just kind of wait and see on Anthony Hill, who has a ton of athletic upside. But, we are still very, very much in the infancy phases of his career. So you wouldn't jump to any conclusions on that. Beyond that, I mean, on the offensive side of the ball, right, your best chance feels like Carnell Tate. But I don't think that we can even remotely have a conversation like that, especially where there are so many incredible wide receivers in this sport right now. And it comes along with the specialization of positions and things. And I know, some years have more depth to the talent pool than others. This was not an overwhelmingly deep wide receiver class or high-end talent as far as that goes. So we will kind of hold pat there. But yeah, I mean, as far as all-pro caliber players or all-pro opportunities that are on this roster, it's Jeff and it's Chim. That's the list.
Buck joining us from the West Coast. Titans will face the Niners in their preseason opener tomorrow. Okay, back to the defense. Let's zoom in a little bit on the cornerbacks with Alontae Taylor and Cordell Flott. Unfortunately, like you said, not able to go up against the premier Niners group. It's a rash of injuries. You said Mike Evans didn't really participate in the team drills, even though he was out there in the early portions. Alontae Taylor, anything to take away from Alontae Taylor's day yesterday? Did Stribling, the rookie out of Ole Miss in the second round, did he give him the biggest challenge? And how did Taylor respond after some, I guess, boomer bust performances early on in camp against his own team?
Yeah, it just kind of reiterates our conversations about Tate, right? And the things that we have seen from Carnell Tate so far in practice, which is, okay, how good is Carnell Tate versus how, inconsistent these corners might be. And it felt like more of the same conversation. Like I didn't come away feeling any better about Alontae Taylor or Cordell Flott. And again, I'm not saying that they're, it's the end of the world and they're the next L'Jarius Sneed and Cheeto Awuzie combo and all these different things. And what a waste of money, whatever. You had to go out and pay starting caliber corners. We've had this conversation before. It's a necessity. And you hope at some point with the way that their drafts should go, if they get this thing back on track, that becomes less of a liability. But they're going to have to lean on this pass rush, right? There's going to be, and also, Lucas, the other thing that Saleh brought up, which, doesn't comfort you that much, I don't think, is that who knows this defense better than Kyle Shanahan? I mean, he's just working him. He's working him over, and he knows exactly where all the holes are in this zone. Saleh said as a result, they had to play a lot more man coverage than they're comfortable playing. So this was an uncharacteristic defensive day for a group that was asked to play a little bit outside of their own scheme to try to adjust to the fact that the opposition knows the scheme better than anybody out there and knows exactly where the holes are, exactly how they can take advantage when they are able to get one of the four guys that they're bringing the rush with blocked up, and how that becomes an easier thing to pick apart. Again, there are obvious strengths to this defense, and there are obvious drawbacks, as there are all schemes: offense, defense, special teams. Nobody's saying that there is no foolproof system that exists anywhere in the NFL. So I do think that it's important to keep that context in mind in a single day practice sample. That Kyle Shanahan, there are no tricks that you are pulling on Kyle Shanahan in that situation. And the thing that really probably caught my attention most, though, and I think also speaks to the Shanahan, ability against this defense, they had 5 touchdowns in 15 plays in the red zone. Okay, it's not supposed to be that easy to pass in a red zone. They are, and I'm not saying that they were all passing touchdowns, but they were finding success in the passing game in the red zone with regularity. It should not look that easy for an opponent in the red zone, no matter how outside of your comfort zone that you're being asked to play as a secondary. So if we're talking about weak points on the defense, I think your eye immediately goes to the secondary. I am curious to see if there is an Amani Hooker rebound in his future, if he can return closer to form, because it was an objectively bad down year for Amani. It was an objectively bad day for Amani yesterday, and the consequences of not having sufficient talent around you or sufficient support around you. We saw what it did to Kevin Byard a couple of years ago, and I think Amani Hooker is not blameless by any stretch of the imagination, but that matters for these young guys. Didn't really notice Kevin Winston the way that I have out on the practice field. I know you've asked me specifically about Taylor, so if I'm rambling and covering any ground that you want to stop on, just let me know. But did not notice Winston. Now, admittedly, full disclosure, I watched far more offense yesterday than I did defense, but I did try and make sure that I watched as much defense as possible when Trubisky and Levis came in, understanding that I was going to talk to Jeff after practice in particular, and just to kind of see how they were squaring up against a quality offense with a quality play caller, an objectively top half of the league quarterback who may not have his full complement of weapons right now, but did not seem overwhelmingly bothered by them.
Okay, there you go. So as we kind of close the book on the defensive conversation, we'll pick it back up with the offense in hour 2. Bullet points from what you've said. Jeffrey Simmons, good at football. Titans front 7, strength of the defense. Defensive backs, corners especially, expect some levels of inconsistency there. If we're to just take what you saw yesterday, what Titans media saw yesterday from the defense, and overreact and extrapolate it out to a season, would those be the 3 main bullet points?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's probably the theme that we're talking about all year long, right? And that's with considerable health right now, right? All of these things are going to be tested at some point throughout the course of the season. But I think if you're talking about where you expect the good to be and where you expect the bad to inconsistent or inconsistent to bad to be, I think it's largely the same rinse and repeat type of conversation.
All right. Buck is joining us from the West Coast, recapping Titans and Niners joint practice yesterday. We will get back to that in hour 2. But Josh Pate dropped his preseason SEC quarterback rankings, and we'll do SEC observations after this.
Two Rivers Ford is the South's most trusted Ford dealer. They go above and beyond to make sure that the car buying process is fast, easy, and more fun. They have done this for over 4 decades. here in Middle Tennessee, and they are the best. I know this because I'm a customer myself. My family goes to Two Rivers Ford because how well they treat you. They treat you like family when you go in and visit them, and because the car buying experience is not like every other dealership. Their salespeople don't work on commission, which means that you don't feel any pressure throughout the course of the car buying process. In fact, they go above and beyond to make sure that you get the vehicle that makes the most sense for your family's budget and for your needs. Just 7 miles east of Nashville International Airport in beautiful Mount Juliet, Tennessee. Two Rivers Ford. Visit them today. Local, honest, real. The South's most trusted Ford dealer.
Okay, so Josh Pate put out his annual top 10 SEC quarterback rankings, and it has drawn the ire of some SEC fans. Now, it's just a top 10, so obviously he didn't rank every quarterback or every quarterback situation in the SEC. Have you seen his list, Buck? Maybe we'll have him on to talk about it at some point soon, but have you seen it?
No, but I can pull it up very shortly.
No, don't pull it up. Who would you put as your number one SEC quarterback? If you had to put a preseason top 10. Arch? Okay.
Yeah.
He's got Trinidad Chambliss 1, Arch Manning 2.
Okay.
So I think you could probably...
How do we feel about that?
I feel good about it because Trinidad Chambliss has accomplished more on the field than Arch Manning. Like, Arch Manning is a better pro prospect, there's no question. And he, honestly, Arch was awesome by the end of the year. But Trinidad was better over a bigger sample size last year than Arch Manning. He does come into this year with a different play caller, even though Pete Golding is still the head coach like he was in the playoff. It's a new offensive coordinator, Robert's guy, the former ECU OC, while Arch obviously has that sort of continuity and has a better array of weaponry. But based on what they did last year, I would put Trinidad Chambliss above Arch Manning. But it's probably pretty interchangeable. Arch was awesome by the end of the year, though. Like that Michigan game, he was fantastic. So, third on the list, who would you put after Arch or Trinidad?
If we're going off last year's sample size, it has to be a conversation right between Gunnar Stockton, who I might put there, and then a healthy John Mateer without, a hand injury that he's both playing through or missing time with and then playing through, which obviously impacted him. So maybe it's just bias based on what I saw from the two of them last year, but I might put Stockton next.
What about Marcel Reed? Is he at 3?
It is Mateer.
Okay.
It is the Oklahoma quarterback, John Mateer. He goes on to put Gunnar Stockton at number 4.
That's a good guess, though, Robert. Marcel Reed.
Reed is further down on this list than you would think. By the way, I love that he named it the DJ Lagway Memorial Preseason QB Rankings because last year he ranked Lagway as the number 1 preseason quarterback in the SEC. Who everybody
Memorial as if he's died.
I know he's just the quarterback at Baylor now, so still a super talented player. But Lagway is like Baylor's going to be playing. Someone's going to turn on a random Friday night game or something with Baylor playing, and so many people are going to be like, "Oh, right." Lagway's at Baylor now. So Mateer at 3.
That is one of the more fun parts of college football now that we used to do in the NFL. The Anquan Bolden Lions moment, right? We get that now in college football.
Oh, yeah, like that guy. Forgot about that guy. Well, they play Auburn week 1. So, a lot of SEC fans will see him early on. So Chambliss 1, Arch Manning 2, John Mateer 3, Gunnar Stockton 4. He has Sam Leavitt 5 at LSU. He has Alabama quarterback 6. Whether it's Austin Mack or Keelan Russell, and he's got
over Lenore Sellers.
He's got Sellers at 7, and then Marcel Reed at 8.
All that dome polish is going to his head. Marcel Reed below ambiguous quarterback number 3? Like,
Yes.
what are we?
Man.
Come on, what are we doing?
I think that's a little disrespectful.
They don't
Josh.
even know who they want the quarterback to be. What are you talking about?
Lots of confidence in Kalen DeBoer, and I listened to this portion of Josh's show before we talked about it, and basically his case was that Kalen DeBoer has only ever maximized the talent of his starting quarterback, which I think is fair. I think he maximized Jalen Milroe, who is a freak athlete, but as a passer, I feel like we saw the best version of Milroe under DeBoer. And same goes for Ty Simpson, who for most of last year was excellent and ends up getting drafted in the first round to the Rams out of Alabama. But he does have Sellers ahead of Marcel Reed. So, I don't know. Reed's a good player. Reed was also really inconsistent pushing the ball down the field. His deep ball took a long time to start to find its groove last year, and A&M really hung its hat on its defense last year. So we'll see. Marcel Reed has an opportunity to vault himself to the top of this list. To round it out, he's got Byron Brown, the Auburn quarterback, who transferred from USF with Golish at 9, and Austin Simmons at Missouri, former Ole Miss starter. Remember, Simmons was named the starter at Ole Miss and then got hurt, and then Chambliss got thrown in, and the rest is history. So no Tennessee quarterback, no Vanderbilt quarterback. 2 other situations where the starter is not locked, defined. We are pretty sure that Jared Curtis is going to be the guy for Vanderbilt. They haven't announced it. And it feels pretty neck and neck right now between McIntyre and Brandon. If you heard Austin Price and Brent Hubbs this week with Ramon and Will, it sounds like those guys are pretty even right now. And it was always trending Brandon, I think, after spring ball. I think he made up some ground, but trending turned into this assumption that, all right, Faison Brandon won the job. Like, there's still a whole month of fall camp to be played. There is time for George McIntyre to win the starting quarterback job. So I think I'd be wary to just sit here and assume that Faison Brandon's going to be the guy. If I had to bet on it now, I'd probably put money on Brandon, but it's still a quarterback competition that's ongoing. I would break it up into three categories among SEC quarterbacks. There is proven in SEC play, proven but taking a step up, and unproven but talented. The guys that are proven in SEC play are obvious, right? Chambliss, Arch Manning, Mateer, Stockton, Reed, Sellers. The guys that are proven but are taking a step up in competition are Levitt and Byron Brown. Brown a little bit more so than Levitt. And then there's just this whole chunk of guys that are talented but have not proven it at this level yet, whether it's whoever comes out of the Bama battle, the Tennessee battle, Austin Simmons, who doesn't have a large sample size of playing SEC football, Kenny Minchie, who's now at Kentucky, Jared Curtis, a true freshman, the Florida, Arkansas, Mississippi State situation. So this could get so fluid this year, but I guess my only contention with Josh would be if your argument to put Alabama quarterback X at 6 is that Kalen DeBoer has only ever had success with whoever he has at quarterback, couldn't you kind of say the same about Josh Heupel, who we just saw do that with Joey Aguilar last year?
Yes, I think definitively that's what happened with Josh Heupel and Joey Aguilar last year, right? That I understand that the season did not end up being as successful as you might have hoped once you started to see the best of Joey Aguilar. And the thing that, I think should always be factored into the Joey Aguilar conversation is this tumor that he had in his bicep, right? Which had to cause him some level of discomfort and impact him some way, how much that impacts accuracy or whatever the case may be, we couldn't speak to. So I do think that's fair. Now we have seen Kalen DeBoer. Well, I guess what is the gulf to you between Kalen DeBoer as a coach and Josh Heupel? Because there is one in my head, but I would have a hard time articulating exactly what that is.
No, Kalen DeBoer has won more consistently than Heupel. I mean, you look at what he did at Washington. To take that program and go from 11-2 in year one to 14-1 and in the national championship game in year two, and then to take an impossible standard on at Alabama and get to the playoff in year two. I understand the expectation is championship contention. Kalen DeBoer, as a head coach, is a more consistent, proven winner than Heupel, who has had 2 double-digit win seasons. DeBoer's had 3, so not a lot more, but I think they're fairly close, but DeBoer gets the nod over Heupel.
Well, let's come back. Well, I don't know. Do you want to take a break and have a conversation about a name on this list who I think is not in any of the categories that you just, or any of the tiers that you just laid out? Because I think he's a science experiment. We can talk about it here. I just don't know how long you want to go.
We do have the dumbest thing in sports next, which, by the way, Robert, what do we have to give away for the dumbest thing in sports?
We have 2 tickets to see the Foo Fighters at Nissan Stadium this Saturday, plus a family 4-pack of tickets to the Williamson County Fair happening now through this Saturday. As American as apple pie, it's the Williamson County Fair. Celebrate America's 250th birthday through August 15th with 9 days of exciting rides, live entertainment, great food, and family fun. Learn more at WilliamsonCountyFair.org.
That's a loaded prize. 615-737-1045. The best submission for the dumbest thing in sports will open the bidding. Go ahead and give us the name you're thinking of before we get to that.
Lenora Sellers. What is he? He's not proven, but he's been in SEC competition. He's not, I guess he's a pro prospect of some note, but not nearly the way that I think a lot of college football pundits / NFL draft evaluators had projected last year. And I understand that it wasn't a perfect scenario for him at South Carolina. So maybe in a different situation, he's able to realize more of that. And again, the conversation between talent versus skill, we've had that many times. But I don't think that Lenoris Sellers fits into any of those categories definitively, any of those tiers that you just laid out.
Yeah, 2025 did a lot to set him back, but 2024, Lenoris Sellers, I think, put himself into that category, showing what he can do as a dual threat quarterback. Maybe he's not proven to the degree of a Gunnar Stockton or a Trinidad Chambliss, but he's fun, man, and he's shown that he can be a spark plug and he can be the reason why you win football games. And he helped South Carolina stack wins in that 2024 season. I also appreciate Lenoris Sellers from a personal perspective as a guy that got to South Carolina and is about to enter his fourth year at South Carolina out of high school, which is a rarity these days in college football.
Yeah, how much did that cost them?
Yeah, I don't know what I haven't seen like reported numbers on what Lenoris Sellers is making, but no question. I mean, there's huge expectations for him and what is a deep quarterback class to make sure that his name is near the top of that list, because if we get more of what we got from South Carolina last year, then that stock is going to plummet, and he's absolutely not going to be in that proven category. So he is an interesting case for sure, as a guy that we haven't seen play legitimately good football consistently for 2 years, really, in the last, 3 quarters or so of the 2024 season. Okay, you heard the prize. Foo Fighters tickets to the Williamson County Fair.
Foo Fighters.
Foo Fighters. All you got to do is give us a call, 615-737-1045, and tell us the dumbest thing in sports this week. The best submission gets the tickets. We'll do it next. 11:03. Good morning from the Circus Sports at the Mint Kentucky Downs studio. I'm Lucas Panzica. Titans were on the joint practice field yesterday with the Niners. Robert Saleh provided an injury update after practice, and pass rusher Jacob Martin left practice with a knee. Rookie Jackie Marshall left with an oblique, and John Franklin Myers is dealing with lower back tightness. The team is off today. The preseason opener is tomorrow night against San Francisco. In NFL news, Bears safety Kobe Bryant underwent surgery to repair a knee injury he suffered a few days ago. It'll hold him out 4 to 6 months. And in other news, the Lakers have been sold to American businessmen Josh Kushner and Bob Iger for a record price of $12 billion. Nashville Soccer Club finishes up group stage play in Leagues Cup tonight against Mexican side Monterrey. Kickoff is at 7 p.m. You can watch it on Apple TV. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone. (615-737-1045) is how you jump in. The best submission, Robert, gets what?
2 tickets to see the Foo Fighters and 4 tickets to the Williamson County Fair, which is already going on. I love fair food. I love it.
Buck, do you get that reference?
No, I was just going to ask, did I miss something? And God knows Robert peppers us enough in the Instagram group text and the other group text and every chat that we're in.
You don't know that reference? The Foo Fighters.
Now I got to find it.
Yeah.
The Foo Fighters.
It was SNL, right, Robert? It was Christopher Walken was the host, and he was introducing the Foo Fighters as the musical guest.
No, that's
ladies and gentlemen,
a Walken impression.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, the Foo Fighters.
Hold on.
It's iconic. It's one of the iconic SNL musical guest introductions.
Okay. Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, Foo Fighters.
Dang it! Hang on. Dadgummit.
Was that not it?
No, that was the newest one.
Ladies and gentlemen, Foo Fighters.
The Foo Fighters.
Foo Fighters. Yeah, putting the emphasis on fighters. All right, Buck, go ahead.
No, a national treasure. Oh, you want me to start?
Go for it.
Okay. I understand that you made some reference to my dear friend and colleague, Tommy McClelland, yesterday.
Yeah, we talked about it yesterday, yeah.
Yeah, may not be familiar with Tommy McClelland. He is the new Purdue athletic director. And somehow, some way, we as a show, with me on it, did not get to the audio, apparently, until Lucas talked about it without me yesterday. But this moron, this mouth breather, this spineless, feckless coward, Tommy McClelland, the new Purdue AD, gets up there at his introductory press conference and takes a shot at my alma mater in the dumbest possible fashion, Robert Rowland.
Every recruit, every current student athlete will hear this message repeatedly. We are here to win championships. If you don't want to win championships, go to Indiana.
Okay, let me inform you of something, dumbass. Indiana won the national championship last year. Indiana completed one of the most improbable stories in all of sports ever, regardless of sport, last year. Before you make some dumb offhanded comment, perhaps you consider the potential repercussions of just how stupid you sound as somebody who is supposed to be an administrator in higher education. I don't know, Lucas, if you saw his retraction tour.
No.
After the fact, he immediately appeared on McAfee the next day and gave a quote. I have the quote here. I'm having a great day yesterday, giving our vision and sharing what we're going to do here at Purdue. He said to McAfee, I made an offhand, unscripted comment about an in-state rival that didn't land well. I knew it the second it left my mouth. So not only is he, so bad at the impromptu, offhand bravado, the fake bravado that this man is trying to propagate, because he's got the actual person who is capable of doing these things and also executing these things across from him in Curt Cignetti, but he doesn't even have the spine to stand on it. That is the person now running Purdue Athletics, which gives me great joy in my heart, because Cignetti was asked about this a couple of days ago. He was asked if he saw it. He was asked if he cared, and he gave a two-word response, which was, not really.
Yeah, we played that. We played this Cignetti response yesterday as oh no.
You moron.
You're right, but I disagree with you on how he followed it up. I actually respect him immediately going on McAfee and just going, yeah, I knew the second the words left my mouth. Like, I appreciate that. That is real from Tommy McClelland. I'll give him that, as opposed to trying to stand on the dumbest hill of all time and just stand on something that's completely not factual and stupid. He just straight up said, yeah, no, that was dumb. I mean, I don't know, as soon as I said it, I regret it. We've all been there.
I respect it if you're trying to match the energy. You know what I'm saying? Because you gotta have some level of balls to come out there and say that about the defending national championship. Then you immediately show that you're a neutered coward, a eunuch, for lack of a better term, because you fold on McAfee, who's as big an Indiana supporter. I got my own problems with Pat, but he's as big an Indiana supporter as you can find. And so he goes on an Indiana-friendly broadcast and said, yeah, Indiana, my bad. Please like me, guys. Please like me.
I don't know. We've all said dumb things that we immediately regret when it leaves our mouths. And so I can appreciate Tommy McClelland, like in real time, unscripted, trying to take a jab at a rival and then immediately realizing he took a jab at the one rival that just happened to win a national title. Maybe he should have said like Final Four or something. You know what I mean? Like if you want to, if you don't want to go to a Final Four or go to Indiana, that would have made sense. But
that would have hurt me more.
Yeah.
That would have actually been appropriate. The thing that has had me hot about this for an extended period of time, though, is there's a Purdue fan that goes to my gym and he wanted to talk to me about it. He goes, no, you don't understand. This is the person who helped Vanderbilt Athletics raise all that money. So no, you absolute idiot. That's Candace Storey-Lee. Shut up.
Yeah, I mean, he might have had a role in it, but yeah, Candace Storey-Lee deserves the bulk of the credit for what's happening with Vandy Athletics. McClelland was the deputy AD at Vandy from 2020 to 2023, which is where a lot of this, the turnaround really was orchestrated. But yeah, that's funny, man.
Enjoy West Lafayette, loser.
Former long snapper, apparently, Tommy McClelland. He was a walk-on at Northwestern State University.
Oh, so he knows winning, famously.
Yes. Yes, interesting. Okay, my dumbest thing in sports this week is the NFL. There is a rule change. Ari Myrov had this. No, this was actually reported by Kevin Seifert. Myrov just aggregated it. The NFL is going to allow head coaches to designate a member of their sideline staff to throw the red challenge flag. Teams have to inform officials before the game if someone else has been designated. Obviously, beforehand, only the head coach could initiate a replay challenge. Why? What, like, were coaches complaining about this? Did coaches not want this on their plate? They're the ones making the final decision anyway. What prompted this? This feels so incredibly unnecessary and just adding another step to something that doesn't need to be there. How many head coaches are actually going to utilize this instead of just having the red flag in their belt and just dropping it on the field? Why? Why are we doing this?
It seems like such a bad idea, because what if somebody goes full Rob Ryder or Brian Callahan and screws it up, makes a mistake, and then you're out of challenge and you potentially cost your team a timeout. Like there's more bad that can happen from this than good, I would imagine.
I mean, this didn't come out of nothing, right? Like do you think there were head coaches out there saying, "Hey, I got enough on my plate. I don't need to carry around the challenge flag"? Like, what was this born out of?
Robert Saleh is famously saying that the only thing that he felt like at New York was that he was the red flag and the challenge guy. So, I mean, I would be surprised, but yeah, there had to have been somebody who requested this change or who submitted this for a potential change. Now, how many teams will actually employ it, right? Because it's not required, right? You still have the option as a head coach to be the one deploying the challenge flag. So I guess it's just if you want somebody else to do that, I don't know. It doesn't seem practical.
Mike on the FNM Bank chat says, I can't wait to see the drama behind he's not on the list of throwing the red flag, like some sort of clerical error of, no, that's not who you communicated. What happens then? You get a penalty, just don't get the challenge. Robert, what did you say, that this is a Big Dom's chance to be involved in a game for the Eagles?
Oh, yeah. You can just imagine that that big old Dom's going to roll out there hoagie in hand and throw a red flag on the field.
Yeah, I mean, because it's not like NFL coaches get ejected, right? It's not like you have to have a contingency plan in place. I guess it's a potential contingency if an NFL, but who's the last NFL coach who got tossed?
Oh, when is the last time an NFL coach got ejected from a game?
I couldn't name one. Could not name one.
Interesting. I'll look it up, Robert. What you got? What's your dumbest thing in sports?
The poet Eminem once said, while you're in it, try to get as much stuff as you can. And when your run is over, just admit that it's at its end. Martha Reeves should listen to some more Eminem. Guys, are you aware that she doubled down on her national anthem performance?
No.
She said,
No.
and it's not in the clip, but she said that it was the way the mics were set up and the acoustics of the stadium were not built to house her voice.
Oh, Martha.
She goes on to say, no, hell, I could do it right now.
I can do it right now. Oh. Say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed?
She's smiling from ear to ear.
Gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars.
So I'll fast forward to the end. They start clapping to try to get her to stop. Good for her.
It's just as bad.
Good for her. I could do
so
it.
bad.
The best part is I could do it right now. And she just busts into it. It's like a 4-year-old that's like, watch me, mommy.
They didn't ask her to.
Yeah, no one wanted to hear this. No one needed her to do this again.
I can do it right now.
Yeah, no, that's okay. That's okay, Martha.
No. Please, God, no, Martha. No.
Can you come get your grandmother?
Oh,
this
my
is a
God.
Whole Foods. She's doing this into the microphone.
Oh, my goodness. Respect to Martha Reeves, who had a great career. On the Motown
Emphasis on
scene.
had.
Dawn's
Emphasis on
early
had.
light.
Oh, geez.
Martha and the Vandellas. They deserve their shine, but, hang it up.
Whose broad stripes.
Oh, that's funny. That's the best submission. That would have won the tickets.
All right, let's roll some callers, shall we?
All right. By the way, according to Google AI, no head coach in modern NFL history has ever been ejected from a regular season or postseason game.
No way. That can't be true.
That's what I said. It's Google AI. Take it for what it's worth.
Robert, though, I'm telling you, what has to happen for, if Dable didn't get tossed for running into the medical tent last year and accosting a doctor about Jackson Dart's concussion protocol, I don't think you're tossing these guys.
Okay, I did find the last coach, not a NFL coach, but a college coach, Bowling Green's head coach, Scott Loeffler, in 2016, or rather 2021, was ejected in the third quarter of his victory against Buffalo. That was the first head coach ejected since the rules changed in 2016.
They said we got to get Eddie in there. Get a coach that's not going to lose his mind. 615-737-1045. Anthony in Sumner County will lead us off with the dumbest thing in sports. Hey, Anthony.
What's up, fellas? My dumbest thing in sports happened, I guess, when the new T-Rack was introduced and everybody lost their mind over a child's mascot.
All right.
My first thought was, can he play O-line? Because that's really what we needed. And once I discovered he couldn't play O-line, I really didn't care about the mascot.
Thanks for the call, Anthony. Remember to stay on hold for your chance to win. We agree with Anthony that the outrage was just a little extreme.
We'll see if Shannon does.
All right, Shannon in Brentwood is next. Hey, Shannon.
Hi. I disagree. I think the outrage was plenty. If not more, we need to give them more. Double down, triple down. We need all the outrage so they change it back and listen to the fan base, because Titans are notoriously not great at that. Maybe they'll listen to us this time.
All right. Thanks for the call, Shannon. All right. Just going right up against each other.
I love the bumping of heads.
Yes.
It was too much.
Oh, really? That's her submission? That's funny.
Yeah, seems like it.
It wasn't enough. No,
okay.
it was too much. No, it wasn't enough.
Kerwin.
So I just wrote back. I just wrote down T-Rack reaction for both of them
Yes.
as we keep track of these things.
Kerwin from College Grove is next. Hey, Kerwin.
Yes, dumbest thing in sports, Kathy Engelbert. You know her. commissioner of the WNBA. So we have the woman who's in charge of the women's NBA that was created exclusively for women. She has to have a meeting with other women to decide what constitutes a woman, so they can determine that if a man pretending to be a woman can compete against real women. Dumbest thing in sports. Now, that's a big assumption that you still consider the WNBA a sport.
All right, thanks for the call, Kerwin. Jay in Spring Hill's next. Hey, Jay.
Hey, good afternoon, guys. Yeah, my dumbest thing was the golfer. The golfer who went to the golf scramble before the golf course opened, dropped the ball in the first par 3, put a divot on the green, started the golf scramble on the first hole, had to leave for an emergency call, hit the ball, took off, claimed a hole-in-one, won like $2,000, and then he actually had to go on the radio at the local, St. Louis show and apologize for it.
Thanks for the call, Jay. Robert, somebody had this for Oh No yesterday, right? Yeah, but Eric didn't want the tickets.
Eric's like, I don't want the tickets, he never does.
Always has the best submission, never wants the prize. Yeah, so I don't know if you saw this, Buck, that a golfer, a member of a country club, they were having a tournament, and there was a prize. What was the prize if you got a hole-in-one? I can't remember off the top of my head, but he tried to fake it. Like, he drove up to the green way beforehand and put like a little divot mark right on the cup, basically, and put a ball in there and tried to, like, fool the guys he was playing with and, like, played ahead a little bit and then said he had to run. Can you guys go check where that ball ended up? I think I kind of sliced it a little bit, and then all his buddies went and found the ball in the hole, started freaking out, and then the golf course, the country club, had cameras, obviously, so it just immediately fired back on him, and he had to apologize on St. Louis radio.
Yeah, that's pretty stupid. That's pretty dumb one. That might be the leader in the clubhouse.
Yeah. Murphy will round us out from the borough. What's up, Murphy?
Yeah, I agree. I saw that golf thing. That is capital stupid. You know what? Baseball umpires, they get a lot of unnecessary brutality. But I'm telling you, that one that threw Chris Sale out before the game even started for arguing about a balk call the game prior night is about as stupid as it gets. And I'll be out of town.
Thanks for the call, Murphy. Thanks for the honesty.
Just wanted to get it off his chest. I respect that.
So
okay.
Chris Sale was bizarrely ejected from the dugout before the first pitch of Sunday's game against the New York Yankees. He was thrown out by the third base umpire for continuing to argue a controversial balk call from the previous day.
Chris Sale. How old is Chris Sale at this point?
Chris Sale been doing it a while.
37. 37. Okay, so Jay gets the tickets?
Yeah.
The cheating golfer.
I think there's nothing dumber. In an era where everybody has a camera.
It's a country club, dude. Like,
come on, man. Somebody's going to catch you, you dumbass.
Yeah, that's good. It was a good submission yesterday, but it did not win anything, so Jay will get the tickets for the cheating golfer. Okay. All right, we'll get Buck's recap of the Titans' offense and Cam Ward at joint practice yesterday coming up next. All right, so we've got the defensive recap from yesterday's joint practice against San Francisco. Let's turn to the offense. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. Lucas and Bert with you in studio until 1 o'clock. Buck is out on the West Coast. The preseason opener tomorrow night against San Francisco at Levi Stadium. You can hear it, of course, right here on 104.5 The Zone, courtesy of Titans Radio. Let's jump in. First of all, it's fascinating to me the variance of opinions when these joint practices happen, because you have three different sort of perspectives. You have the beat from one team, the beat from the other team, and whatever national media happens to be out there. And it typically is just all over the place, right? And I feel like the reaction from the coverage locally, like you guys and PK, TD, Suss, Jimmy Wyatt, the guys that are all out there, can sound so different from what the Niners coverage is saying. And then I saw this tweet from Ted Wynn of The Athletic, who was out there, who just said, yeah, Cam Ward looks good. He's in rhythm. What were your thoughts on Cam Ward yesterday?
Well, Mike Borgonzi disagreed with that. Disagreed with that on the whole, and I think Cam did too when we talked to him yesterday. In the early going, I thought that Cam was finding completions early, and they weren't pushing the ball down the field, which I don't know if that was, again, you know, there are things that they are being coached on specific days in practice that we're not fully privy to unless the coaching staff or the players disclose that to us after the fact. So I don't know if there was an emphasis on working the short to intermediate part of the field versus pushing the ball, but they didn't have anything that would qualify as an explosive yesterday, even though there was not much of a rush early. Niners definitely ramped up the rush later on, so I don't know if they moved into a blitz period at that point, but they were definitely getting after Cam's ass a lot more in the second half of practice. I thought Cam was fine. You know, I thought they were a little off as far as their timing and their rhythm, but there were completions to be found there, and we took them. I don't know that you would call that an outright success. I don't think that you would call it a failure or a bad day. I'm sorry that I missed Ted out there. I like Ted's work a lot, and he's obviously been on the radio show before. But yeah, I thought Cam was fine. I thought their protection early was good. I thought their protection later was bad after offensive linemen started getting tossed because of fights and things like that. I thought it was J.C. Latham's best practice I've ever seen. And I say that in the sense that when J.C. is being challenged by somebody that is not Jeff Simmons, but has been consistently challenged by somebody the caliber of Jeff Simmons, it's a lot easier for JC to grab somebody by the shoulder pads with Osa Odighizuwa.
Oh, and he's gone. Took until the halfway point of the radio show for the connection to drop off. So we'll see if we can get Buck back, because unlike what is typically the case on the show, I think he was actually saying something interesting there with J.C. Latham. Robert and I talked about J.C. Latham a lot yesterday in terms of who has a lot to gain for the Titans in a situation like joint practice with the Niners. He's not a guy that would have a ton to lose in that setting specifically, right? Zooming into that joint practice, because J.C. Latham isn't going to lose the starting right tackle gig to Brandon Crenshaw-Dixon. I mean, that would have to be a very extreme situation, but he is a guy that could have a lot to gain if he has a good outing against a front like the 49ers, even if they are not at full strength, and the Nick Bosa injury is hanging over them right now. But that is encouraging stuff. Did not expect Buck to go encouraging on the front end when talking about the offensive line at joint practice yesterday. So, Robert, we just lost the Wi-Fi connection, I guess?
Yeah, somebody else is trying to get in our Zoom meeting down the hall, and I'm about to go.
Oh, who's the culprit?
No, I'm about to be very diplomatic.
How does that work? That just knocks us off? So it wasn't Buck's fault, or the internet connection's fault?
The rare occasion where it's not my fault.
Okay.
I'm not sure what happened there.
All right, Robert's going to go go bash some heads together, and he just left the control room. Robert's on a...
Why? What happened?
Apparently somebody tried to enter the Zoom meeting down the hall, and it knocked you out. I don't know. I bet you, was it Ross? Was it Ross? Who was it, Zach?
It was actually Jackson who's recording Coach Matthews' weekend show.
Of course it was Jackson. Of course it was Jackson. Okay. Buck, you were saying J.C. Latham actually had a decent day yesterday.
I would argue it's the best single practice I've seen of J.C. Latham's very young career. He was incredibly physical. I might describe him as dominant yesterday. Again, against a Niners front that didn't have Bosa out there, and that's their big ticket item. But there's a lot of NFL quality players out there, NFL starting caliber players out there, and he was kind of running roughshod on them. Thought it was a solid day for the run game with Singleton. Did not see Tajay have much success. Did not see Pollard have much success. And again, as I mentioned, there was a lot of extracurriculars after the whistle between the Niners defensive line and the Titans offensive line, and it wasn't really specific to the first team or the second team. Deculus got tossed first because he kind of picked somebody up and sumo slammed them into the ground. I thought he was injured initially, but no, they put him in timeout. And then you had the same situation with Dan Moore, who was consistently getting into it with Odigizua, and then the Titans decided to toss Dan Moore for the day. Now, worth noting that Cam had a pretty clean practice. Will Levis was the only one I saw throw an interception for the vast majority of practice until Dan Moore got tossed. On the very next play that Dan Moore got tossed and Brandon Crenshaw-Dixon came in, I don't necessarily think this is simply a product of the pressure, but Cam did throw what I think some people would consider to be a pick six. They were backed up in their own end zone. Maybe the guy gets tackled. Maybe 42, 43, I can't remember the Niners defender. Maybe the guy gets tackled. Maybe he doesn't, but it could have been. It was a situation where the defense could have scored if it was a real live action practice situation. So Levis threw an interception that was bad. Could have thrown another one. It just, every time I look over at Will, and I'm not watching the full Will practice anymore, if I'm being completely honest with you, so that's maybe not fair to him, but at every point when I'm looking over, he's making some decision that would make you scratch your head, and that's kind of the common experience. Did not watch much of Trubisky at that point. I was usually diverting my attention to Niners offense, first-team offense versus Titans first-team defense. Carnell Tate, the thing that kind of set the fights off, Lucas, was Carnell Tate getting hit hard out of bounds. Initially, I thought it was Wan'Dale Robinson, number 0. Do I have a Niners roster? I do have a Niners roster here. Renardo something. Let's see what Renardo's name is.
Renardo Green.
Renardo Green, yes. Cornerback out of Florida State, third-year cornerback out of Florida State. Absolutely smoked Carnell Tate out of bounds on the sideline, and that was what caused the bench clearing situation. I think probably the biggest dust up of the day was as a result of that, and he was getting it taken to him a little bit. Carnell Tate was had a really nice play on the sidelines where I think, and Karski and Suss were over there with me. We all agreed that in a normal situation, you're probably getting flagged for a push off there because it was pretty full extension, but still made a twist and grab on the sidelines. No flag was thrown, so if it was a game, it would have counted as a reception on the sideline. There were some moments with Wan'Dale where he was able to find some holes in the zone and take advantage of there, but nothing that you would no big plays. I would say from the Titans passing game in particular. Not a bad day they did not win the day, as you would probably define it, but I did not think it was the worst Titans offensive practice I've ever seen.
Yeah, I guess my hope was that there was some sort of continuation with the Cam Ward, Carnell Tate connection that was fun to watch at the open practice at Nissan Stadium, and taking that into an opposing defense on the road, too, on the West Coast. If you had to grade the Ward-Tate connection specifically, what would you give it just from yesterday?
So A through F?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably give him a C to a C minus. I think there was, some plays that he would have liked back, some opportunities there where plays were made, and he didn't get execution on the receiver side or the offensive line side, and the run game, there wasn't much there to support him. So I'd say it was a thoroughly average practice for Cam.
Okay. Anything else from the offense that is notable from yesterday?
No, I wouldn't say that it was an overwhelming, notable day for the offense. Just kind of going back through notes here. Yeah, Singleton. Singleton was probably the highlight of any of the offensive players yesterday. I felt that he had the most juice. Julius Chestnut they were trying to light him up on every play. He was having lower his shoulder into some dudes, and he's got the build to be able to do that. You know what? Bellinger had a couple of nice plays. Just short stuff out in the flat. Had a nice stiff arm on a guy to get some additional yards inbounds. So I did catch Bellinger did catch my attention. I thought the tight ends were solid. It was a pretty good day. Joel Wilson had a couple of nice plays. Gunnar Helm made a couple of nice plays. So on the whole, I think the tight ends as a group had a decent day. Alec has just been, he's just a physical dude, man. And he had some opportunities deep. He was overthrown on a couple of times. I don't know, obviously we can't judge the play. If he's overthrown, maybe he makes a catch, maybe he doesn't, if it's a better ball. But I wouldn't say the receivers were a negative by any stretch of imagination. I didn't come away feeling super negative about anything other than that when Dan Moore was out and when the Niners decided they want to ramp up the pressure, Cam Ward was just kind of running for his life back there, which again is going to be the thing that we're talking, like the corners, right? It's going to be a similar conversation all year long. How do you mitigate it? Can you mitigate it? Maybe you can.
So interesting to hear Robert Saleh say after practice that starters are going to play still Thursday and not just one series. He went as far as to say that. And he said that back during the offseason program, but it's subject to change. It's his prerogative to change his mind on that if he likes the work they got in joint practice. Sounds like the Niners aren't really going to play starters, but how much run are you expecting? Let's just keep it to Cam and the ones on offense. How much run do you think they actually get Thursday night against Niners backups?
If they come out and score on the opening series, I got to think there's some consideration to just calling it a day, right? Like I just, for the purpose, the most important thing is the health. Can you get out of there healthy? Can you execute what you need to execute? I would be surprised if they let them go more than 2 series just because of who the Niners are going to be putting out there. And that's dudes who are hungry. Those are fringe guys trying to make rosters. They're going to be flying around out there, 1,000 miles an hour, as they should, right? I'm not knocking them, but you want to keep your guys, your top line guys as safe as humanly possible in these situations. So get what you can get done in a series if you can. Give them 2 if you need to, but beyond that, I would think that they would play it smart.
Okay. We will circle back and talk Titans and Niners joint practice when we play the Jeff interview coming up in hour 3. But Robert brought this tweet to our attention by Stephen Holder, who is a Colts reporter for ESPN, used to work for The Athletic, and he was getting a lot of messages from Colts fans about how Colts beat writers are covering Colts practices, joint practices specifically, that may bring up an interesting discussion. We'll do that next.
The Tennessee Men's Clinic is here to help you through the process of aging, because once you get to a certain point, things in your body stop acting the way that they used to. You feel a little less like yourself. And the Tennessee Men's Clinic has been in business almost 20 years, treating men in Tennessee with real history and helping guys get better and better every year. They're now open in Murfreesboro, Nashville, Franklin, and Clarksville, serving Middle Tennesseans across the board. A lot of guys the pills don't work for or never really did. That's exactly who the Tennessee Men's Clinic is built for. Every visit includes an ED evaluation, not because something's wrong, but just because keeping your levels healthy is one of the best ways to keep ED from ever starting. They're here to help you through that process, and the lab offer right now only $99 for a full hormone panel plus a PSA. Your exact number is what you will find out in about an hour when you visit them. So call today at 615-208-9090. That's 615-208-9090 or online at TennesseeMen'sClinic.com.
So there are a lot of great Titans reporters on the beat. A few that are out there on the West Coast. I know Buck is out there along with Teron Davenport and Nick Suss and Jim Wyatt, Paul Kaharski, of course, the great Teresa Walker, all of the folks in TV. And I do think Titans media generally does a great job, an overly done job, I would say, of updating like everything that's happening on the practice field. I don't know if you saw this, Buck. I hadn't seen this until Robert brought it up. Colts fans complaining that Colts Colts reporters were not updating everything that was happening at joint practice with not San Francisco, with New England. And did you see Stephen Holder's response to it?
Yeah, I just found it during the commercial break. Robert and I were talking about it. So do you want to read the tweet or you want me to?
So somebody tweeted, "Listen, I hate to be this guy." This is just a random Colts fan on Twitter. Yeah. But our Colts beat writers / reporters have not been good enough today. Not posting a single update about this joint practice while the Patriots social media team is posting left and right is just inexcusable. Holder quoted it and said, "I keep hearing this. Well, you have my attention. Congrats. We do not work for Twitter, number one. We all work for specific media outlets that put food on our tables. Number two, constant tweeting during practice means you're missing a lot of practice. Number three, I didn't even travel to New England this week." And then he follows himself up saying, "Twitter has convinced y'all that the entirety of our jobs is performed on this trash site. No one has ever hired me because of tweets. I do not win awards for tweets. Tweets will not send my kids to college. Tweets don't matter nearly as much as you would think." So is this Stephen Holder being pretentious, or is this Stephen Holder being correct?
Yes to both. Now, he's more wrong than he is right, though, I think, in this exchange. So let's go point by point with this. We do not work for Twitter. We all work for specific media outlets that put food on our tables. That is true. None of us work from Twitter. Some of us do make money on Twitter, and I know Elon is changing the construct of that, the X monetization program. But it's not meaningful money. Like if I make $300 a month on Twitter, it's a decent month on Twitter, right? It's not anything, it's less than a grocery bill. So he is correct about that. Two, constant tweeting during practice means you're missing a lot of practice. So here's the thing. This is where he's wrong. You can write your notes in your notes app. Teron does an excellent job of this. Teron Davenport has done this for years. He does it in very thorough detail. And it's stream of consciousness, right? But Teron is taking a note on every play, and he's doing it in his notes app. He then copies the notes, and he pastes them on Twitter at a point in which we are allowed to tweet. Now, sometimes Teron will do this if we are allowed to live tweet in real time. Nobody's making you live tweet. We can do that when fans are out there. I did it yesterday. I think it's easier for me. It's my way of taking notes, if I'm completely honest with you, because then I don't have to, make a note in my notes app, then put it back on Twitter later. Like I can just stream of consciousness my way through it. Do you miss some things from time to time? But it's okay to look over and be like, "Hey, TD, who caught that last pass?" Or "Jimmy, who was the defender on that play?" Or something like that. And you can make a note of it after the fact. It's not nearly as taxing and nearly as strenuous, especially if you're not an X's and O's guy. Like, unless you're going to give me some specific thing that you can't give the audience anyway, because we're not allowed to give schematic stuff if we are able to diagnose schematic stuff here, it's not that heavy of a lift. So I think he's incorrect on the second point. His third point is the most egregious point, which is, I didn't even travel to New England this week. Now, if you did not make the trip, why are you bothering to respond to this? You are not involved in this. You are not there. You do not need to go out of your way to sideswipe a fan, even if you are offended by the commentary. Because the way that he opens this is, "I keep hearing this. Well, you have my attention. Congrats," which is the most high and mighty way to go about this. And listen, I like Stephen Holder. He does a good job. I've known Stephen for a couple of years. He's one of the better beat writers that I like. As far as reporting good stories and finding good stories to report on for ESPN.com, I think Stephen Holder's one of the better ones that we have doing it. Stephen is a journo who doesn't want to also participate in the Twitter dialogue, but the vast majority of our interactions, the vast majority of our day-to-day questions and responses, the vast majority of our existence in some form or fashion with fans, again, the audience that we serve, is primarily on Twitter. It's as direct a platform or an opportunity as you have to reach me or Kaharski or Teresa or any of us. So yes, you are in some form or fashion beholden to your audience that exists there. And then, he goes on this rant about Twitter not feeding his family or Twitter not sending his kids to college. Man, nobody cares about that. Just do the job, And sometimes I have that problem, right? When the Titans are bad and I'm moaning and groaning and bitching about how awful they are and what a cross they are to bear, and how I'm jealous of people that can change the channel and actually watch good football on Sundays. Yeah, I do it too. I'm guilty, hand up, in certain situations of having that level of pretentiousness myself. So because I do also have that behavior, I could recognize the behavior when it's wrong, and he is largely wrong in this situation. You don't benefit anything by telling the audience to go shove it, even though I occasionally enjoy that from time to time.
Okay, and what I'll say about it from your point of view is I would rather have the perspective of knowing that you have more of a negative skew when you watch the Titans, and I can take that into context. When I look at Ravens updates, I know that when Mike Preston reports something, it's going to be looked through in a negative lens, and that's okay. I appreciate that perspective as well as I appreciate Garrett Downing or any of the people that work for the Ravens, and I understand that they are looking through purple-tinted glasses. What I don't like is being upset at fans for wanting something that is driving interest. I know it's not your job to tweet. I understand that. I'm not a reporter. I'm not a beat writer, and I'm not going to pretend to be. But I do know that interest is what drives this whole shebang. So being upset at a fan for saying like, hey, this wasn't good enough today. Like, I would like some more updates. If Stephen would have came out and said, well, hey, practice rules dictate that we can't live tweet practice, but I'll have an article up on ESPN later to let you guys know how they fared against the Patriots. Cool, fine, total pass. But this pretentiousness of like, oh, how dare you guys want updates? And oh, by the way, I'm not even there. I think Titans media catches a lot of guff from time to time for being potentially more of a realist or not based in fandom, and it gets knocked down for being negative. But at least you can. 4
years of bad and talking about how bad your football team is would wear on any fan base. Like, I don't blame them for getting tired of it, right? But it's just the reality of, you report what's in front of you until the thing in front of you changes.
But at least you have that context. You know that when Buck reports something negative, okay, it might not be as bad as he reported it. So all I'm saying is, when I saw this, I was actually proud of Titans media, because everybody that's out there, you knew what was going on at practice. You knew there were fights. You knew the highlights, the lowlights, and they filled in the blanks. Teron, if you don't follow Teron on Twitter, you're doing yourself a disservice. Because every single practice, that dude puts out the most detailed, as if you were there, as if you could visualize it. Teron knocks it out of the park. Everybody that's out there in San Francisco, I thought, did a great job of covering this. And it just made me happy that the media here gives you context. The media here gives you examples of what's going on in the field and doesn't, you may be pretentious, but at least you're not making fun of people for having interest in something. I don't know. This just rubbed me the total wrong way.
No, think about this. Teron and Jimmy are so good at in real-time practice updates that they are creating a subsect of Titans blog boys who are now posting videos like the one that you sent me this morning, acting as if they're at practice giving analysis.
Yeah, that blew me away.
It's too detailed to the point where some slap, I can't say the word I want to say, but some schlub in wherever the hell, North Dakota, who's a Titans fan, can go on his blog boy Instagram and talk about what happened today at Titans practice as if he was there, because Teron and Jimmy are so thorough in the details that they give.
Okay. Productive conversation.
I thought so.
We're going to get back to the Titans joint practice stuff with the conversation with Jeffrey Simmons coming up. But there has been a record sale in the American sports landscape and some other headlines to get to, and we'll do that next.
A day at the spa, the perfect gift for birthdays, anniversaries, or any occasion. Lavish and luxurious, yet affordable. A grand gesture, yet simple for you. The gift card from A Moment's Peace. Give her the gift she won't buy herself. An escape, a bit of luxury. Something special that shows more than just words. A gift from A Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa in Cool Springs across I-65 from Galleria Mall. Call 615-224-0770 or go online at amomentspeace.com anytime.
What's happening, good people? Let me go on and tell you while you're walking into your weekend what you need to be looking for. That is a truck. Yeah, Mid-10 Ford, they got you covered. They're going to take care of you. All you got to do is slide in there and let them know, hey, man, Big Slay told me. And they will look out for you. Go in there and holler at my guys, Trey, Matt. They're going to be right there to help you walk through the process of going to get your truck. And guess what? It's nothing that's going to be pressure, no high pressure, just low pressure approach, no gimmicks, no pushy sales tactics. That's not what they're about. They're about getting the job done and getting you comfortable and understanding exactly what you're getting into. It's a one-stop shop. If you need service, Mid-10 Ford, they got you covered. They are the ones you need to be looking for. When it comes to the right vehicle, they got you covered. Even a body shop, service, financing, sales, they got it, all of that. All you got to do is go to 1319 Foster Avenue, visit Mid-10 Ford Truck.
It is 12 o'clock. Good afternoon from the Circus Sports at the Mint Kentucky Downs studio. I'm Lucas Panzica. The Titans are off today after yesterday's joint practice against San Francisco. The preseason opener is tomorrow night. You can hear the game right here on 104.5 The Zone, courtesy of Titans Radio. In NFL news, Bears safety Kobe Bryant underwent surgery to repair a knee injury as he suffered a few days ago at camp. It will hold him out 4 to 6 months. Big blow to the Bears' defensive backfield. In other news, the Los Angeles Lakers have been sold again, this time to American businessmen Josh Kushner and Bob Iger for a whopping record price of $12 billion. Nashville Soccer Club finishes up group stage play in Leagues Cup tonight, taking on Mexican Giants Monterrey. Kickoff is at 7. You can watch it on Apple TV. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone. Bucks on the West Coast. Robert and I are at network control at the 104.5 The Zone Circa Sports Studios here in Nashville. Jeffrey Simmons, a chat with him coming up in the next segment. But first, a record sale that I think has some interesting footnotes to it in the American sports landscape. Before we get to that, a very happy birthday to one Delaney Walker. 42 years young, the Titans legend.
42? My God, Delaney. When did that happen?
Looks like he could still get out there.
He's bigger than Brad Hopkins. I mean, and not like in a fat way. Like, I mean, Delaney is. I've made this talking point before about Deebo Samuel and A.J. Brown, but Delaney is also one of these human beings who was made out of the material the bowling balls are made out of. He's just solid. Like that had to be the worst trying to tackle somebody like that.
You want a good player, man. Like just the consistency of Delaney Walker in those pretty lean years, like 14 through 17, 18. Yeah, what a player Delaney Walker was for the Titans. We are fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. Download the Hattie B's app. Get you the Hattie Melt, limited time only with that Hattie Q sauce. Check out their new East Nashville location while you're at it. So the Los Angeles Lakers got sold like a calendar year after they got sold. So it happens again. The Buss family sold the Lakers for what was then a record $10 billion. That was back in 2025 to Mark Walter, who turns around and flips the franchise to Josh Kushner and Bob Iger for a whopping $12.5 billion, another record-breaking price. So ESPN is what I'm reading from. The businessmen were involved in the expansion process in Las Vegas, but in a stunning turn, they pivoted to make an aggressive offer to buy the Lakers, who had purchased the controlling interest in the team from the Buss family last year. The quote is, "As lifelong NBA fans, we are deeply honored for the opportunity to become stewards of the Los Angeles Lakers, one of the most iconic sports franchises in the world." They go on to say, "Our long-term commitment is to build on that foundation, compete at the highest level, and serve this extraordinary team, its fans, in the city of Los Angeles." This is odd, right? Walter buying the Lakers and then flipping them like a year later?
Yeah, I mean, listen, to a $2 billion profit, and I'm sure there's some level of inflation to adjust for in there, so maybe it's not outright $2 billion in the sense given that they're given the changes economically and things like that. But it's even more weird because of who's buying it. Do you know who Bob Iger is?
Oh, refresh my memory. I certainly know who Josh Kushner is.
He's the president of Disney.
Oh, yeah. So the president of Disney, along with the brother of Donald Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, are teaming up to buy the Lakers. And let me remind folks that Josh Kushner was a part of the private equity firm that Johnny Infantino was this close to selling World Cup stakes to. So Josh Kushner was trying to get an expansion team going in Vegas, was trying to literally buy stakes to the World Cup before the entire world revolted, and now Infantino's trying to hang on to his job for dear life. And the pivot was, I'll just buy the Lakers.
With a Trump endorsement, by the way. How funny is that? The only one who's on old Johnny Football's side is Uncle Don.
Well, Trump and some federations that desperately need Johnny Infantino because he's promised them some things. Like the Mexican Federation has expressed their outward support for Infantino because he's promised them that he'll move them to the South American Confederation instead of in North America. Like, there's all sorts of stuff going on there. But that's interesting to me. That's obviously my soccer mind saw that sort of stick out the most as Kushner pivoted from buying the World Cup to buying the Lakers.
Well, that's what I thought. I thought that was funny that you, of all people, would say you knew who Josh Kushner was. I was like, how the hell do you know
Literally
who Josh
only
Kushner
because
was?
of that and the last name.
So when did he buy it? When did he buy the Lakers?
I mean, the news broke today.
No, I mean, you said that he...
2 years ago.
Oh, Mark Walter?
Okay, 2 years ago. I was wondering if there are capital gains taxes.
No, 2025. The purchase was made in 2025. Mark Walter, last year, bought that majority stake from the Bus family.
Are there capital gains
explain
taxes?
your financial questions there, Robert, because I think the audience that's good insight there.
So I would think it works in stock or property. If you don't hold something long enough after buying it, you will have to pay a capital gains tax based off how much you made off of the sale because you basically turned and burned it. Like day traders have to pay a capital gains tax off of a certain amount because they're not holding a property or a stock for long enough. And I didn't know if there was a capital gains tax on professional sports teams. Because if he only bought it a year ago, I would assume that would still hit, and he would have to pay how much did he buy it for 2 years ago?
In 2025, it was a record $10 million sale.
Billion.
A billion, sorry. Which smoked the previous record, which was the sale of the Celtics, also in 2025, for $6.1 billion. That same year, the Lakers are sold for almost double that.
Now, was it a majority share in the no, I mean in the Celtics, because that gulf between the Celtics and Lakers is crazy.
Huge. It's huge, yeah. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Okay, here's how, and this is super financial whiz behind the scenes.
No, but it's good. This is good information.
So, holding period rules on capital gains tax in respect to professional sports teams. The short-term gains tax. Ownership held for 1 year or less is taxed as ordinary income, which carries a much higher maximum tax rate. Long-term gains taxes. Ownership held for more than 1 year qualifies for lower-term capital gains taxes, which currently max out at about 20% at the federal level. Asset tracking, the holding period of the franchise generally starts the day after the acquisition is finalized and ends the day of the sale closing. So if it's a long-term gains tax, then they may be looking at getting taxed 20% on the profit in which they sold. So maybe 20% of $2 billion since it's a 10 to 12?
June 18th, 2025 is when he agreed to buy the majority control from the Bus family.
So like $400 million would be the capital gains tax on this. He would end up making $1.6 million on the sale, or $1.6 billion on the sale.
Yeah.
If I'm looking at this correctly, which I'm probably not.
No, but this is a good conversation to have, though, because people are these are complicated conversations, right? And that's why people are so quick to ignore them, because we are scared of math as a country, famously. We don't do math well as a show. So, like, all the different ins and outs of this. Can you play the reckless speculation sound for me? I need to recklessly speculate about something at your convenience. I may not be able to hear it if it's playing.
You can't hear it. It was speculating, though.
Very good. So I bet that this Walter individual got in there and looked at the financials of a mom and pop, a longtime mom and pop business, and said, "Oh, this is a lot messier than I thought it was going to be. Maybe this is not worth the money that I paid for it. Can I still try and recoup some level of my investment while still trying to make some money on this? Because this ended up being a lot more complicated than I thought it was going to be once I actually got a hold of the books."
Hang on, somebody just sent me something from June Lee, an independent sports journalist. Used to
formerly of ESPN.
Yeah, formerly of
ESPN. Good work.
Who a couple hours ago tweeted that Walter is reportedly under federal investigation for loan fraud.
He needed some money.
He's also the Dodgers owner. So June Lee tweeted, Dodgers owner Mark Walter bought the Lakers a year ago for $10 billion, sells the team for $12 billion. Walter is reportedly under federal investigation for loan fraud, so this can't be a good sign for how all of that is going.
Yes, I would like my money in an offshore account, please. Could we put my money in Sweden, perhaps?
Yeah, no, he is absolutely trying to get to those Swiss banks as soon as he can in a Wolf of Wall Street type of situation.
So this almost dwarfs the sale of the Super Bowl champions. Remember, the Seahawks went earlier this year for a record NFL sale of $9.6 billion, which surpassed the previous record that Josh Wolf's group purchased the Commanders for in 2023, which was $6.05 billion. So the Super Bowl champs, now granted, the Seahawks are far from the most valuable franchise in the NFL, regardless of if they're winning championships or not, but the Super Bowl champions went for 9.6, and the Los Angeles Lakers went for 12.5 in the same year.
So what's our most valuable franchise in the NFL is the Cowboys.
Yes,
and
Sportico,
I think I saw them
$15.5 billion.
Where are the Titans? Because I know she added a straight up B to her net worth with the stadium as soon as they broke ground on that.
I looked at this earlier, and I think it's like $8.4 billion, $8.3 billion.
That's a big jump from what it was the last time I looked at one of these things.
Yeah,
Forbes usually does one on an annual basis.
I'm double checking that.
Yeah, Sportico has a paywall. I'm not going to pay for it.
I don't support good journalism, even when I need it.
Forbes has them at $6.3 billion.
Tweet for me, Sportico. Tweet through it. Give me my information via Twitter, not via your site that pays you and feeds your family.
But the difference between that and the Lakers annual revenue is roughly $2 billion. So 1/6 of the sale price. The Titans' annual revenue is around $482 million. So somebody do the math on that. Like 1/12, 111 and a half.
No, I blacked out. I blacked out while you were saying those numbers.
This is why my mom is my financial manager. I am not the money guy. Somebody else has to handle my finances. She always send me like, oh, your C-class mutuals are doing well. That's great. That's great money, ladies. Stay over there.
Stay over there.
Well, what must it be like in life to be someone like Josh Kushner? It's like, I want to buy the World Cup. Oh, can't do that. I'll buy the Lakers instead. What a life, man. What a life.
Well, if you guys... That's what happens when you're... So that would be his father-in-law. What is Trump's relation to Josh Kushner?
Father-in-law.
Because it is...
Yeah, he's Ivanka's husband, and so Josh is Jared's brother. So I don't know how does that work?
Either way, when you got
he's the brother of Trump's son-in-law.
Yes, the brother of Trump's son-in-law. When you've got somebody who's making $2 billion a year for your family through all your new policies and the different things that you're doing to further monetize the American presidency in ways we've never seen, turns out pretty easy.
So, big time sale. The Lakers are moving on. They've been flipped.
If you guys could buy not a sports team, like I feel like that's too. If you guys could buy,
no, I think sports team would be fun.
Well, I
don't know who I would say.
College football. What if college football teams were up for sale? You could buy any college football team. Which college football team would bring the heftiest price? I talked about this with Lucas before the show. But I wonder if you guys land on the same idea that I did.
Well, before we say that, there was news this week that Tennessee Athletics raised a record $175.5 million in the 2026 fiscal year. So Danny White, for the 5th consecutive year, has reset his own record. Back in 2021, they raised $35.6 million. So a 400% increase for Danny White in 2026.
You did that percent increase pretty good.
I looked it up. I did something for A to Z on that a few days ago. Believe me, it took a lot of Googling. But that is a great question, though. Like, just keeping it to college football, what would be the most valuable college football program if they were just sold like NFL organizations or NBA?
Notre Dame thinks it's them, right?
People in the chat are agreeing with you. I landed on Texas.
Okay.
Texas has to be up there. I do think that state taxes have to come into the equation when you're talking about this. So that would take USC off the table for me. That would take, who else is in a heavily taxed state? It might take Notre Dame off the table. Indiana's state tax situation is not ideal. There's definitely income tax and things of that nature. Texas is a really good bet. Is there a bigger brand in the SEC than Texas? Because Alabama, I think thinks it's that, but I don't think you're monetizing Alabama the way that you are any of these Texas schools, right? A&M or Tech.
Yeah, and maybe at the height of the Saban era. But it's a good question.
But even then, right? Like Nick's out there talking about Jimbo buying players that they're not in the tax bracket for or whatever, and things like that. Like even Nick at the end was saying that they were a little bit out of their depth on the finances.
Yeah, and Notre Dame probably makes the most sense. I don't know. I feel like this conversation is way too intelligent for me.
Well, they have like a unique TV deal too, so I wonder that probably adds into what their overall revenue would be. Like I'm just thinking about logos. Like what are the
Ohio State has to be up there.
Ohio State, Michigan. Like even if their team isn't that good, like the logo still carries a lot of weight. So like Florida, I would think Florida would be a good team.
Yeah, I mean just straight up logos.
Miami's another good one.
Logos, Notre Dame, is right there in every conversation of what's the most iconic logo in college football. It's probably Notre Dame.
Surprising, nobody said Georgia.
I don't think of Georgia as one of the. I mean, Georgia is one of the preeminent brands in college football, but I don't think of them in the same tier as the other like mega brands that we're talking about. I don't think Georgia's a national fan base that way.
Okay, interesting. Buck sat down with Jeffrey Simmons yesterday. We'll play that next.
Pretty good.
Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. Titans are resting today. Preseason opener against San Francisco tomorrow. Lucas and Bert with you in studio. Buck is on the West Coast. And you got a chance to chat with Big Jeff yesterday.
Yeah, so it's the first time that Jeff has appeared on the radio show since you talk a lot of bleep on social media. Cat is the FCC safe way to phrase it. And, you know, Jeff has obviously had an interesting career here in Tennessee. And I wanted to talk really just about what the last couple of years have been like, Lucas, because all the criticisms that I had 2 years ago of Jeff that were fair as far as I'm concerned, and Jeffrey and I have talked about that since then, he's answered at every turn, like almost on a point-by-point way. And not because of I think, any criticism from me or anybody else who had criticism, because it's what was necessary to become the kind of leader that this franchise needs him to be. I thought he was very reflective on some of these moments and on some teammates and coaches who have gone on to have success and why it was so important for him to stay here on that new contract, beyond, of course, just the life-changing money that comes along with some of that. So I hope people enjoy it. I think it's as good a conversation as we've ever had with a Titans player. Hanging out here at the Levi Stadium with Jeff Simmons, Titans defensive tackle. Jeff, good day of work with the Niners on the first week of joint training camp practices, first week of preseason. How'd you feel like the work went?
Went good. Of course, some play that you wish you could get back, but that's the reason why we do these type of practices you learn, especially against a team that haven't saw all training camp. I think that's the benefits of joint practices. You know, sometimes it can get a little rowdy with the chipness and fighting and here and there, pushing and shoving. But for the most part, I think we got some great work in with these guys. We competed. They got a couple plays. I think for the most part, we got them today. So
now, admittedly, I spent a little more time watching the offense, but every time I looked over the defense, I mean, it felt like you were on pretty good behavior today.
Yeah, my goal was just to get my work in. They got a good football team, and I don't know how many years in a row they have been a contender. To be able to get in the playoff each and every year. They got a good start with Trent Williams, of course. That front. They do a lot of things that we don't see every day. They're trying to get to the edge of the defense, and it was great work. And my job and my mindset was to come in here and focus on my technique and how can we be better as a defense and not so much of, all the chipness. And sure. I mean, it happens. It happened today, but yeah, that's how can you get back to the line of scrimmage and be ready to play football.
How do you workshop something like that? Because obviously you play with a level of rage, right? But there needs to be that controlled rage element of it. Obviously, we've talked to you about that before.
It's part of the game. I feel like that's the way I play the game. I play with that extra fire, play with that extra passion. But it's also one of the things where you got to. I remember, and it was. I think he came up with it for me. He's like, be emotion, but not emotionless. However it was, just go out there and play with hella emotion. But when the whistle blow or when it's time to get back to the huddle, is get back to the huddle. Don't hurt the football team. So, and that's our number one team key is protect the team. And the same thing, at practice or in the game. It's the reason why he threw me out of practice last week, because technically that would be hurting the football team if I throw a punch in the game. So, I respect it, and it's one of the things to where that just helped me as a football player to continue to grow as well. When it's so much passion, so much energy, so much emotion in the middle of that play, how can I reset and get ready to play the next snap?
When's the last time you played the preseason?
Would have been 5 or 6 years.
Right.
I mean, I'm going year 8, and I'm expected to play this Thursday. So it's not like when I first heard it, yeah, it was kind of like a whoa. But at the same time, I mean, I know I need to work. I know I need to, especially with this new defense. Like I said, it's a couple plays today that I wish I could get back because my first and second step wasn't the way I wanted to be. But man, like I said, that was preseason 4. That's the reason why the NFL put it in. And I think as players, especially once you get older, it's like I'm tired of these preseason games, this and that. Like, yes, that's my mindset, especially. But at the same time, on the flip side of it, is I really need to get the work in. So,
well, and I know we've talked to you about leading and obviously your abilities on the field, the way that you practice, the way that you prepare, that's a form of leadership too. Do you feel that it's important for so many young guys on this team to see you get ready to go out there with them in a situation like that?
I mean, no matter if it's practice or a preseason game, I treat it's just like today, and it's just like when we put the pads on last week against all guys. When I touch the football field, no matter if it's practice, preseason game, regular season, I try to treat it as if it's just a game, a regular season game, I should say. Preseason, not practice, or not, because I feel like when you go out there, and this is how guys get hurt in this league. A lot of guys get rolled up. A lot of guys may not take care of their body getting ready for a practice or a preseason game the way they would for a regular season game. And my mindset, and I tell Kale, I tell these young guys that go attack practice like it's a game, and that'd be my mindset. Like last week, even with the extra fight, of course, but it's like when you go out there with that mindset of I'm gonna play every snap like it's a game, then that's how you continue to get better as a football player. And I think once the young guys see that, especially coming from myself, that man, Jeff running to the ball, like I have a couple of DBs, especially the newer DBs that here. And it was like, man, you really be running, but when you turn on that tape, that's what I expect. That's my expectation. My expectation is to be around the ball each and every play. So it's one of the things, the way I practice is the way I play the game. So
you and Amani, longest tenured players on this team. Does it feel that way?
Not until you actually start talking about it. When me and Hook, I literally, one day I seen Hook posted his family on Instagram, and I'm like, bro, life is really crazy. Like, I remember when we first came in, like, you didn't have no kids. Like, just think about it, man. It's a blessing. And that's the reason why I go back to my contract situation. Like, now I'm grateful to be able to not have everything in the media. When things get messy, and that's the disconnect. And that's what I didn't want. And so to be connected, to be on the same page as the front office, and I expressed it like, I want to be here. I want to retire as a Titan. And my goal, and that's the reason why, quite frankly, yeah, do I want to throw a punch? No, but it's like, I want to make sure, because I heard today, JC had one of his best practice today. Like, he out there mauling people. That's what I want. I want to push him. I want to push not just him, but my teammates to be the best when it's time to go against the other colors. So, I'm just grateful. And the same thing with Peter, that's a blessing to be able to be, I guess, feel like this is home, and Tennessee is home for me, and I'm grateful, and hopefully I can retire here.
Because we've asked you in particular, a million times about, what is it about the plan? What are we not seeing that you're seeing, I guess, from a standpoint? Because it's been tough times here. I only had to tell you these last couple of years.
I'm out there, so it's heck yeah, man. Yeah. Not making the playoffs the last 4 years it's hard when it's always like, man, what you expect this year, or when I come into a new season, it's even better now because I got a new head coach. We got new coaches, I should say. We got new uniform, new logos. Like, I don't know if you feel it when you come to practice. I know sometimes it could be like rough days here and there, but when you walk into the building, the energy just feels different.
No, it's definitively different.
It's totally different. Like the energy from Saleh, and I've been around. You guys been around me long enough. I don't like to compare. I don't like to compare Vrabel. I don't like to but this year I just feel like the pieces we have on defense, and quite honestly, man, we go out and get JFM, we go get Jermaine, go get a guy who people probably not talking about a lot. But Jake Martin, like, to go get them type of guys to beef up our defensive front, because the game is won up front. And when it's time to go make a play in a 2-minute situation and you go get a sack, who are you really praising? So that's what it is, man. I feel like when we went and got some guys. We went and got the guys, and now look on the other side of the ball. You see what Cornell been doing. You see young guys like, I went up to Ellie, like, Ellie, I love it, bro. Like, keep that fire. But no, it's a
soft-spoken guy. He likes to hit.
Like, the same thing for me. I'm like, I told him, I said, bro, you just like me. You don't know, like, sometimes it's hard to pull off. Like, you blocking people out of bounds. But at the same time, like, I tell him that, like, I'm telling him, like, keep that going, because them other young guys see that, Cornell see that. They're like, dang, Elliott is blocking people out of bounds. He finished. And so I'm excited just the piece we added. But of course, I'm always talking about the head of the snake, and it start up top with Coach Solly, the energy he bring and the passion, the fast and violent. That's what we're about, and I'm excited about it.
One of the only times I've seen it get to you was in that, what was that, 23 with the 7 straight losses. And after Jacksonville, and you've been dealing with your ankle injury all year. I think you got hurt in the Chiefs game that year. That was really before the tough stuff started the last couple of years. Were you ever tested that way as far as you see Derek going on to Baltimore and having success? Vrabel's in the Super Bowl with the staff. AJ and KB are having success. Was that ever something that, because a weaker person would let that cross their mind?
Nah, I mean, because I didn't have talks with my agent, especially Todd. Even when I hired Todd last year, my thing was is never was to leave Tennessee. My thing was, I'm going to Borgunzi. I'm talking to the guys that in the building. And I'm like, what is what's the vision? And that's where I remember telling you guys, it's my job to handle my job and trust them with their vision. And we saw what he doing with that vision, and we saw what they brought in. So I would never say I got to a point where it's like, man, I need to get the heck out of Tennessee, because I know where and how we could get back to that. I've been there before. I was a young buck my first year, rookie year, made it to a SEC championship. But I know that feeling, and I know what it takes to watch guys like Jarrell Casey, Wesley Warrior, them guys, and I saw how they led the football team. And I know for a fact I have that in me to be able to lead a football team the way they did it and got to that point. So is it one of the things where I was thinking dang, Raven first year in New England, Harold Landry,
Harold, yeah.
So I'm happy for them guys. I was super excited for them, and can't lie I want a little jealous. I ain't been to the playoff for the last 4 years, but to be able to see them type of things, I think I know we could get back to that, and that's the reason why
That's just such a level of maturity, though, Jeff. And I mean, you know that I've had criticisms before, and I don't.
We've been there for,
but always found ways to work through those.
Sure. I've been around you long enough, Buggy. But it's one of the things to where, I know for a fact, because that's the way I grew up too. When you passionate about something, I don't know how long you've been in Tennessee.
This is my 11th season.
11th season, and you saw the ups, you saw the downs, you saw the really good. So it's the same thing as a player, and I think sometimes you guys may not understand that, but especially because we are out there, I hate losing, and it's when it's frustrating, like you said, after that season, it gets frustrated, and it's one of the things to where it's damn, I'm out here busting, I'm playing so hard. Right. But it ain't nothing I could do. I could go out there and be the best I could be. But to the standpoint of your passion and the way you feel behind the Titans and your criticism, I get it, because I know our fans feel like that too, because they want us to win.
Well, I only bring it up in the sense that I don't think you could have handled the last 2 years better. Yeah. And to see how anything that I was saying at the time 2 years ago, that you have literally answered the call on every one of those things. I don't just say that to blow smoke up your ass, because I'm within striking distance this time. You know what I mean? That's a real thing, Jeff. It's a lot of respect, and just your desire to stay here. I'm sure you do. I'm sure you get feedback from the fans in public, but you have no idea what that means to them, that somebody wants to stay here no matter how tough it's been.
Man, that's, when I always go back to when I got drafted here, to feel welcome and to feel home here in Tennessee when I got drafted here. I keep telling, when I walked into that season ticket holder event that they had when I got drafted here, and when I walked in, and sometimes now I think about it, and I still get chills of the welcome that I got when I got to Tennessee. And like I said, my first 3 years, I knew what it felt like, and today I know what it felt like, and I know that I got a real good feeling that we could get back to that, because like I said, we got the pieces, and I feel like we really got the head of the snake with Coach Solly. The thing that he demanding right now, each and every day, we could get back to that.
I really appreciate you doing it.
Most definitely.
All right. That is Jeffrey Simmons sitting down yesterday. How'd you think that went?
I don't think he could have been more. I don't think he could have been better, honestly. The best interviews are where you can where you remember to be brief enough in your questions to let somebody who is willing to talk and just get out of the way. And I thought Jeff was excellent. So I do appreciate him being that level of open and comfortable, because he doesn't have, he doesn't have to do that stuff. He sure as hell doesn't have to sit down with me. You know what I mean? So, and just quickly, on Titans PR, I give the Titans as an organization a lot of grief. And the football PR people have been amazing working with me for my entire career here. So for them to set that up, for them to understand why I think it was important for everybody, I think it was good for Jeff. I think obviously it's good for us to have Jeff on the show. But I think it's important for people to see that perspective from Jeff and for them to recognize the importance of that. So gold stars for everybody all around. They made it super easy on me, and I'm glad I didn't screw it up.
Yeah, I thought you did a great job, Buck. It was a good snag for an interview. Hopefully you enjoy a good snack, maybe get a Snickers. What are you sneering about over there?
I'm sneering because you're about to get schmacked.
What are you going to snip me off at the head? Don't be
I
a
don't know if
snob.
that's a Mississippi thing.
You don't want him snarling at you.
Yeah, we can get real snug in here, Buck.
The snake.
Hold on, I'm about to sneeze. Oh,
You think that's a Mississippi thing? Like, I've never been to Mississippi, thank God. I'm all set on that. You think that's like a local dialect thing?
What do you?
He's done that his entire career.
Who do you think his favorite rapper is? Do you think it's Gucci Mane, the Snowman?
You need to keep some things.
You're
to
going to get me
yourself.
smacked again.
All right, yeah. Snitches get stitches. So.
Well, I'm sure Jeffrey could make me take a long snooze if he wanted to. I'm not going to be a snob about it.
Did you guys appreciate the fact that I'm wearing the same shirt that he ran up on?
See, I was going to ask you that. Is that the same shirt? The same shirt?
I swear to God. That is the same. We're working too hard to try and make that work. Yes, that is the exact same shirt. I wanted to make a joke about there being 82 better football players than him when he sat down, but he was in a little bit of a rush, so I felt like, all right, let's just do this thing.
Yeah, that would have been a snafu.
You're an idiot.
We'll wrap up the show coming up next.
Catch.
Yep, appreciate it.
That's Jeff Simmons.
Last call for phone calls, 615-737-1045 as we wrap up the show. Lucas and Robert with you in studio. Buck is on the West Coast. Cover 2 with Blaine and Zach coming up from 1 to 3. Titans open the preseason tomorrow night against San Francisco. Okay, so off day for the team today. What's happening out there today with the Titans?
They got a walkthrough at San Jose State. Beyond that, I think it's a pretty low key day. You've been out here before, right? You said.
I haven't been to San Francisco since I was a kid.
Oh, okay. So you would not have meaningful or tangible memories of it out here.
I remember the hills and that super curvy street.
Yeah, that's a pretty good summary. No,
isn't the Full House there?
Yes, that is where Full House was shot.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You'll have to go to the Full House.
Jim Wyatt has me, Ramon, and Suss and Tehran on basically a full city Bay Area tour today. Jimmy, this is one of Wyatt's favorite road trips, if not his favorite road trip. So he has laid us out an itinerary for after the show, because the show is over at 11 a.m. Pacific time out here. So I know the Titans, I'm pretty sure they already had the walkthrough this morning. So I think they're giving the guys a day to kind of explore a little bit, within reason. They're in San Jose, for what it's worth, because San Jose is closer to Santa Clara, which is where the damn stadium and practice facility is. So I don't know how much there is in scenic San Jose versus the Bay where I am. But yeah, I don't know what they're doing, but I'm about to have a day, boys.
What you got planned?
I'm going to Alcatraz. I'm really excited to go to Alcatraz.
Oh, that's cool. Are you doing the swim tour?
I will be on a ferry. I will not be. I will not be.
Are you doing a thing, or is that a thing?
What do you mean?
The swim tour.
Yeah, you get to swim around Alcatraz, and then they make you swim back to land. I bought you a premium ticket, Buck.
It seems incredibly dangerous.
Yeah, that's not the premium experience. The premium experience comes with a boat and a guide. No, that is a thing, though, that there's like a competition, right, of who can swim back and forth to Alcatraz. I don't know if it's back and forth. Maybe it's one way. But that's a thing that they've been doing for years, right? I'm sure there's a name for it.
That's going to be cool. I would love to go to Alcatraz. Like, that's probably one of the first things I would do if I got to go to San Francisco as an adult, which I need to. Megan's sister lives out there. We need to go visit her at some point.
I was out here last year, obviously, in week 15, and there's only a day, so you don't have that much to do. And I've got the Fox show on Saturday, so I was trying to keep it within reason. I'm going to Lombard Street, which is apparently very, very famous out here. Coit Street, Fort Mason is on the itinerary, as well a seafood restaurant that comes highly recommended by Jim Wyatt called Skoma. I'm going to drink a lot of Irish coffees at Buena Vista, which is right there on the bay. Taking some sailing, it's not sailing ships. What do you call it? Sailboats on the bay, and from the beautiful vista of Buena Vista. And I'm gonna have a lot of time tomorrow too. I gotta figure out what the hell I'm gonna do after the show tomorrow, because this game is until 6 p.m. Pacific time.
You could do the Alcatraz swim. It is a famous 1.5 to a 1.85 mile open water challenge in the San Francisco Bay. Swimmers typically leap from a ferry near Alcatraz Island and navigate cold water, which is around 55 to 62 degrees, and strong currents back to the San Francisco shore. Cost average around $279 through commercial operators, and wetsuits are strongly recommended because you would freeze your giblets off.
Yeah, not for me. They have a night tour at Alcatraz which Wyatt said he's done, and they do the thing like they do from The Rock, which is they let you sit in the cell for a couple of minutes so you can feel how it was to be a prisoner on the D block and things like that. But I thought the combination of a night tour at Alcatraz and a gummy might give me a panic attack, so I'm going to go at like 3 o'clock.
You should also do what I always wanted to do if I went out there. Have you ever been to the Palace of Fine Arts?
No, but I love a good museum.
It is beautiful. Like, it's like right on the water, all the shots of it, like beautiful architecture. I mean, in San Francisco, there is really so much to do. I feel like you could go there 3 or 4 times and still be like, well, I hadn't done this yet. Oh, I hadn't seen where Bob Saget shot the Full House show.
Well, and apparently there's a part of the Bay Area right on the other side of the Golden Gate Bridge that is beautiful and incredibly scenic. Ramon was trying to get some landscapes in yesterday. Me and Tehran and Ramon were hanging out in a park in San Jose yesterday, plotting our activities. So I got to check in on the big fella. I'm sure he's since freed up his afternoon.
I got one more before we end this show. If you were going to give a Golden Glove award to one Titan for the fricassee that happened yesterday, who would be the best punch thrower / best fighter at practice?
Can I give it to Cam? Cam shouldn't have been in there at all. And as soon as Dan Moore caught up, it's a bad idea, get the quarterback in the middle of that, but that dude wants to scrap. He didn't throw a punch, but I feel like Cam Ward probably got a pretty good left hook if you want to.
He's got good snap with it.
You got to stop this.
We
just made peace.
I'd prefer Cam Ward stay out of those scrums as much as humanly possible.
Also, there are great whites in the bay. Like, there are sharks. These are shark-infested waters. What the hell are people doing swimming 8.5 miles in the bay just for fun? What if you get got?
You don't have to be the fastest swimmer. You just can't be the slowest.
Yeah. What's the best thing you've eaten?
Well, I only ventured out yesterday, so right now it's just the clam pizza. But I'm looking forward to.
Wait,
to
what?
This. You don't like clam pizza? Or clam pie?
Never heard of any of this.
Well, I wouldn't say that. No, hold on now.
Clam.
Is this a euphemism?
Now, hold on. Explain.
I got a Neapolitan pizza yesterday with basil and the margarita sauce and clams. Like, not in the shell. They deshell the clams, and then they sprinkle the clam meat on the pizza. It was delightful.
It's straight up a margarita pizza with the mozzarella and everything?
Yeah, like buffalo mozzarella, some basil leaves, the marinara sauce, and I really like the Neapolitan pizza with the thick crust on the outside, but the very, very thin crust on the inside. I can't remember the name of the pizza place that I stopped by on the way home, but it was delightful.
Yeah,
but the Skoma place, I looked at the. I'm going to do some Chinese out here. Chinese food in San Francisco, very famous.
Yeah, you got it.
So that is definitely on the list. I am going to do seafood at Skoma later tonight. And then I haven't looked at the menu at Buena Vista, but I imagine if I drink enough Irish coffees, they probably got something that'll taste good.
My favorite thing about, how do you say the pizza?
Clam pie?
Neapolitan pizza?
Neapolitan is that you don't have to choose. Right, like you get a little strawberry, you get a little vanilla, you get a little chocolate, you get all three together, and then that way you don't have to pick.
What do you mean?
He's making a joke about the Neapolitan ice cream, Lucas. Look at how uncomfortable Lucas is when you're making fun of his heritage.
Think of about had enough.
Holding himself the comfort.
No, it's the mozzarella with the clams that I'm hesitant on.
You Italians and not having cheese on seafood, get over yourself. Get over yourself.
That's a thing?
Yeah, there are exceptions.
No, there's not. They all sneer at anyone who puts cheese on seafood, and it is ridiculous. Cheese can go with seafood. I would say not in every instance, but there are times when it's okay. It's okay for you to get just a little snap of a snapper with some cheese with it, Do you think that's Big Jeff's favorite fish? What's his favorite drink? A Schnapple?
Well, his favorite condiment is schmear.
That's actually what it is. That doesn't work.
That's right.
It's time to go. It's time to go. All right, so we'll be back at it tomorrow. Titans game day tomorrow. The next time we're doing this will be a Titans game day. Blaine and Zach cover 2. Got you covered. Coming up next.
See ya.